Afraid? Scared, maybe?
Did he include himself, I wonder? Well, it's hard to say. We're going to get a chance at the end of the first period to talk to Emile Francis about that exact thing, but I would have to think that general managers shy away from making trades, obviously, but there's more than one reason for it, and to me, I would have to think if I had a team and I had a chance to make the playoffs or participate in them, I'd want to do something.
The only trades that have been announced to this point, and most of them should have been, if they haven't at this point, is that the Detroit Red Wings picked up Ken Solheim for future considerations. The Winnipeg Jets traded Willie Lindstrom to the Edmonton Oilers. In return, they'll receive Laurie Boschman, and that's been it as far as trades. Teams coming out on the ice will be ready for the first period from St. Louis right after these messages.
This Bud's for everyone who takes on the heavy loads.
This Bud's for you. For all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do. This Bud's for you.
Datsun 280ZX.
Someday.
Maybe your someday is now.
This is the 69th game of the season for the New York Islanders. They trail the Philadelphia Flyers. More importantly, perhaps, are only 2 points ahead of the Washington Capitals, and the Capitals are at home tonight. In New Jersey, leading the Devils, and the question arises, will there be a Stanley Cup ring number 4? There's number 3. The Islanders with 12 games left in the regular season, and then on to the playoffs in a bid to defend the Stanley Cup. Now the crowd at the Checker Dome rising for our national anthem.
And you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
In goal tonight for the New York Islanders with a record of 21-10-5, Roland Melanson. Goals against of 2.64. He is 11-2-2 in his last 15. Has 9 victories on the road, 6 losses and 3 ties. And for the Blues, Rick Heinz, going to work for only the second start of the year. It's only the 4th game that he has appeared in. 0-2-1 and a 5.32 goals against average. His last start, his only start of the season, a 5-5 tie in Edmonton. Ron Hogarth will referee the game. Working the lines tonight, Ron Asselstein and Ryan Bozak. Kenny Potvin, the captain of the Islanders, talking with Hogarth at center ice as Al Arbor has Brian Trottier between Clark Gillies and Bobby Nystrom. Gillies, who has missed the last 5 games because of a back problem, is out on left wing. Nystrom is on the right. The puck came to the St. Louis zone and cleared by LaPointe. Johnson and Potvin on the Islander defense. That's Johnson, number 3, to Trottier, and it was knocked off his stick. He got a piece of Anderson as he got into the Islander zone, and the puck has been played back to LaPointe. Over to Ramage. Ramage, a long pass. Nystrom knocked it out of the air at center ice. Beatty steps in front of Nystrom as they came to the St. Louis line. Now Gillies unable to clear it across the line. Trottier picks it up. One man back. Trottier has shot. Heinz makes the save. And Ramage is there to clear the rebound. Bob Nystrom on the far boards, tying up Anderson. Anderson trying to get a face-off. Nystrom knocked the puck loose. Goes into the corner, but there was Ramage. Ramage works it around for LaPointe. LaPointe, the veteran, able to get it to the far side. Ramage's pass for Crombie is picked up in this right wing. Crombie out to center ice for Patey. Popan was there to break up that play. Fed it to the right side. Bossy over the line with a drive. Heinz got a piece of that. Brownscheitel falls in front of the net, and the puck ends up in the catching glove of young Rick Heinz.
Second shot, a tough one for Rick Heinz. Mike Bossy slap shot off the right wing. Seemed to fool him a little bit, Jiggs. He made the save, fell down. There's the pass. Dennis Potvin across the board. And in comes Bossy to pick up the puck right at the blue line of St. Louis. There's his shot. You see him swing his weight forward off his left foot. Heinz makes the save. Brownscheitel fell on the puck.
This line for the Islanders, Bossy on the right, Tonelli on the left with Goring at center ice. Stefan Persson and Dave Langevin, the Islander defense. Persson handling the puck with the pass to the right side to Goring. Couldn't get around Brian Sutter. And the Blues have forced the Islanders back into their own zone. This is Langevin. Back of the net to Persson up the right side, intended for Bossy. Sutter stepped in front of him for the Blues. Here's Langevin with it. Langevin fed the puck to Tonelli off his stick and into center ice. And the former Ranger, Andre Dory, is back for the Blues. Dory wears number 2 to Brownscheitel to the left side for Sutter. Brian Sutter forces the Islanders in deep. They clear it off to the side of the net. It comes loose and they can't tap it in. Sutter had an empty net. Couldn't get it by Melanson. You don't get many chances like that in a game, let alone a season. And Brian Sutter will talk to himself after this game. Mark Reed's turning for the Blues. Over center ice. Reeds has dumped it into the Islanders' zone. Melanson cuts it off back of the net for Persson. Stefan Persson, right side for Brent Sutter. Played it out of the reach of Bossy, and here are the Blues again at their own blue line. Long pass tipped into the Islanders' zone by Babbage. Melanson left it for Langevin, pulled it away from Turnbull. Langevin, right side for Brent Sutter. He's out with Bourne and Dwayne Sutter. Ramage broke up the play at the St. Louis zone. Ramage across to the right side. This is Alain Lemieux with a pass to Ramage that went off his stick. Turnbull can't pick it up, and Dwayne Sutter has forced the Blues back. 2.5 minutes gone in the opening period. The Blues try a long pass to Babbage that went astray, and Paul Boudelier has it for the Islanders. Boudelier over to Morrow. To Brent Sutter. Got it in wide of Heinz, who's cut it off for Babbage. Bourne in forechecking. Babbage off the boards on the right side for Rick Wilson. Out to center ice they come into the Islanders' zone. Lemieux taken out by Boudelier, and Morrow came over for the puck. Kenny Morrow fed it up the right side out of the reach of Brent Sutter, and LaPointe hustles back. No score. We're 3 minutes into the first period as Gilbert broke up a St. Louis play. Out in front, Dwayne Sutter was too well covered. Morrow stepped in from the blue line, got it to the corner to Brent Sutter. Back to Dwayne Sutter, goes to the backhander off the catching mitt. Comes right back to Heinz, and he covered it long enough. Got the left pad down to smother the puck. And play is called. A break in the action. 16:45 left in the first period. The score, the Islanders nothing, the Blues nothing.
The airline that doesn't plan for the future may not have one. 5 years ago, Eastern saw the future in a remarkable aircraft. Now it's here. The new Boeing 757, the most advanced, most fuel-efficient commercial jet ever built. It's going to help Eastern hold down the cost of flying for years to come.
We earn our wings for you, that's why we're Eastern, America's favorite way of life.
St. Louis in a battle with Toronto and Detroit. Look at the opportunity they missed right here. Sutter, he has a transient spinal concussion. Missed that open net. With 2 casts on his legs and arm, he should have still put it in.
Oh, indeed. Here's another chance for the net to get him. Melanson came out to make a great stop. Oh, my. The Blues with a couple of open nets to work on, and they're still scoreless. Here's Pettersson. Jorgen Pettersson, who hasn't played for the last half-dozen games. Cleared around the boards to the right side. Morrow takes the man. The puck went to Anders Kaller. Kaller is out with Billy Carroll and Greg Gilbert. Now the Blues put it out in front and hopped over a stick. Bobby Crawford was parked in front of the net, couldn't get a shot away. Kaller across the St. Louis line. In front to Boudelier, a backhander. Heinz the save, and he holds on. Well, a both ends of the ice. Melanson has Lady Luck smiling on him. Rick Hines comes up with a big save for the Blues. Watch this.
The opportunity, the Islanders taken away. Rick Hines, Paul Boudelier in all alone. And the Essex, Ontario native, 27-year-old Rick Hines, his best save of the game so far. As you pointed out, Jake, 2 good opportunities again on that last shift. Down at the Islanders' end, one, Roland Melanson came diving out. Peterson, as he came around the net, had the net to put it in. Roland Melanson dove across with his stick laying on the ice, deflected the puck away. Crawford, standing alone, could not handle a loose puck, or he had another opportunity.
And Potvin just drilled one from the blue line that went wide of the net. Perry Anderson for the Blues. Out into center to Patey, to the left side, off a stick into the Islanders zone where Potvin controls it. Danny Potvin up the left side to Gillies. Gillies, Nystrom, and Trottier, the forward line. Here's Janssen with the puck. Over the St. Louis line, dropped it to Nystrom. Nystrom tried to set up Trottier, and that was broken up. The Blues start out of their own zone, led by Dory. Andre Dory has shot it wide of the net. Nystrom back for the Islanders, being rushed in his own zone by Anderson. The puck went to Crombie. Crombie trying to put it out in front of the net. The pass out of the reach of Anderson. There's Nystrom on right wing. Fed it to Trottier, ahead to Gillies. Gillies working on Dory. Trottier moves in, takes the pass, goes in deep, circles the net, comes out in front, and shot it right through the goal crease. Comes back on the right side, and the Blues are able to clear it down the ice into the Islanders' zone. Anderson and Janssen in a battle for it. Picked up by Anderson of the Blues. Harry Anderson lost it now to Trottier, to John Tonelli. Can't get out of there. A long shot hit Potvin. Denny Potvin up the right side to Nystrom. Nystrom to Trottier, steps out of his own zone. A pass to Tonelli went off his stick into the St. Louis zone, but it's across 2 lines and called back on the offside.
Fans enjoying the hustle of the St. Louis Blues. They have 54 points in the Norris Division, and right behind them, Toronto with 51. Detroit also has 51. St. Louis has played 68 games. It starts to get to be a factor now, the number of games that have been played. St. Louis, 68. Detroit, 3 points behind them, have played 68, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have only played 65. 3 games in hand, and that could spell quite a difference by the time 80 games are played.
And especially the way Toronto has been playing of late. And the Blues are in Toronto tomorrow night, by the way. Goring is at center ice for the Islanders. Bossy and Tonelli are on the wings. Bossy unable to pick up a loose puck in the St. Louis zone. Langevin came in from the blue line. Has tied it up in the corner to the right, and we'll get a face-off there. 14:26 left in this opening period. You think of the chances, both by Brian Sutter, then Pettersson, Boudelier down at the other end of the ice. The Islanders are out shooting the Blues 5-1.
St. Louis can't gamble like a lot of teams that do not have a .500 average. They can't gamble away their opportunities. They just will not come that often.
Now the Blues have cleared the puck to center ice following the face-off. Persson over to Langevin. Langevin slaps it around the boards. Ramage tipped it for right to Bossy. His shot on target and cleared. It got away from the goaltender. Fedorko managed to get it to the line and went bouncing off Persson, who covers up in the center ice zone. Over to Langevin. Langevin ahead to Goring. Goring played it away from Fedorko right to Tonelli. Tonelli comes in over the left side. Tonelli working on Vigneault. Passed it out in front, and it was cleared just wide. Now Brian Sutter and Tonelli in the corner. Ramage is there as well for the Blues. Rob Ramage works it around the boards. Here's Langevin off the left side. Got it back to Bossy. Banks it off the boards to Tonelli. Tonelli looks for somebody in front. Vigneault checking on him. Tonelli knocked down, and the puck went loose. Freddie Fedorko flips it high down into center, and Langevin comes back. The Islanders putting on some pressure here. Langevin starts out again. Langevin over center ice. He likes to shoot it into the St. Louis zone. Hines cut it off for LaPointe. Both teams in the middle of player changes. The Blues start out on the left side. Harry Turnbull checked at center ice. Now the Blues have shot it in wide of Melanson, and Morrow is back. Morrow and Boudelier on defense. The two Sutters and Bourne up front for the Islanders. Morrow got it to the St. Louis line. It was broken up and cleared back inside the Islanders zone. This is Boudelier. Boudelier to Bourne, knocked it down at the blue line. It was held in by Turnbull. Checked from behind by Brent Sutter. The Blues at center ice. LaPointe gave it to Dory across to the right wing, out of the reach of Turnbull, and down the right side is Dwayne Sutter, giving it to Brent Sutter. Over to Bob Bourne. Turns, fed it to Boudelier, takes a shot, blocked in front of the net. And LaPointe covers up for the Blues. Guy LaPointe fires it out into the center ice zone. Boudelier works it off the boards. Here's Dory at the St. Louis line. Over to LaPointe. LaPointe's pass for Turnbull went astray, and Morrow forces the Blues to go back. 12 minutes and 20 seconds left in the opening period. It's scoreless in St. Louis as Dory starts the rush from back of the net. Dory, a long pass. Got away from Boudelier. It's going to be called for icing as Morrow touches up, and we get a break in the action with just over 12 minutes to play in the first period. The score is Islanders nothing, the Blues nothing.
There are two ways to get a home improvement loan, the hard way and the smart way. The same for an auto loan, the hard way and the smart way. At the Bank of New York, we call the smart way Action Phone, and it means you can apply for any loan without leaving home. So if you're eyeing a new car or a new roof, dial 1-800-942-1784. Action Phone from the Bank of New York. What a smart way to get a loan.
Face off to the right of the St. Louis net. Carroll got the draw back to Potvin. Around the boards, out of the reach of Kaller. There's Pettersson on the left wing. Jorgen Pettersson dumped it to center ice. Johnson for the Islanders. To Carroll. Sent Kaller over the line with Gilbert. Kaller shot a stick save by Heinz. Gilbert back to Kaller. Kaller at the side of the net trying to put it out in front. A backhand shot over the crossbar and ends up back of the net. Now the Blues failed to clear it out. Potvin falling, however. Crawford was able to feed it to the left side. Pettersson sends Dunlop over the line. Dunlop to Pettersson. He shoots. Good glove save by Melanson. It comes out in front. A drive, a broken stick, and the puck is loose in front. Potvin clears it, but not out. Pettersson over to the left side. That's Ramage. Ramage with a drive that went wide, and Potvin starts up in the left wing. Potvin checked by Pettersson. Crawford fires one around the boards in the Islanders' zone. Pettersson goes in after it. Johnson takes it away from him. Thomas Johnson tying it up on the boards. And there's no further play.
Close call, Jake. St. Louis again get an opportunity. They get two of them, and they do not score. Don't get a shot on net. Take a look at the action. I should correct myself. Roland Melanson made the first save. Watch the slap shot. Ramage has a tremendous shot. Hit the stick. Look at Andy Kaller. Look down at his stick. It's in two pieces. The shot by Ramage cut his stick right in half. Did not reach the net. St. Louis have not got a lot of shots on net. They've had some good opportunities. The Islanders have covered well, or been able to get in the way well.
Shots favor the Islanders heavily, 8-2 at this point. Linesman Ron Asselstein picking up some splinters. Eddie Kia, a longtime member of the Blues, was sent to Salt Lake City, and sad to report that he was injured last night in a game at Salt Lake. Is in hospital in the intensive care unit. Has been conscious only for 4 or 5 minutes since that injury. The Blues flew his wife out to Salt Lake City to be with him, but the news is not good on the veteran defenseman Ed Kia. Offside at the St. Louis line. In fact, the Blues have had quite a shuttle system back and forth with their Salt Lake farm team. You look at a former St. Louis Blue, a couple of them, as a matter of fact, working behind the Islander bench tonight. Coach Al Arbor and Wayne Merrick, who was a first-round draft choice of the St. Louis Blues. Not dressed are forwards Mats Helene and Wayne Merrick. Still on the shelf with injuries, defenseman Michael McEwen and Gord Lane. Gillies lost the puck at the St. Louis line. Trottier can't pick it up, and down the left side comes Guy LaPointe. Right wing to Crombie. Langevin lined him up. Langevin lost his stick. The puck goes to the corner. Langevin grabs a hold of Crombie, gets away with it, and freezes the puck as he fell on top of it.
Good move by Clark Gillies down at St. Louis's end of the ice, Jiggs. Put that good move on him. Walked around LaPointe, but was checked from behind. St. Louis doing a good job getting back. They're back checking. Barclay Plager, coach. Fine defenseman for St. Louis for many years. He was a player that had a great ability to use an open ice check, a hip check, barrel roll type check. Excellent at it. Played his junior hockey Peterborough, the Peterborough Petes, where he learned his trade.
Blues thought they had lost him in a game at Minnesota the other night. Man behind the bench kicked a pane of glass out. It hit Barclay on top of the head, and they took him to the dressing room, and then he went back to the hotel, and that was it for the rest of the game. Puck cleared down into the Islanders zone, and there's going to be a slashing penalty against Nystrom as Morrow picked it up. Nystrom is headed for the penalty box, giving the Blues a power play. Break in the action, 10-17 left in the opening period. The score, Islanders nothing, Blues nothing.
Of the best-selling motor oils today, 14 now save gas. But only one saves gas, offers cold weather starting down to 35 degrees below zero, and the best engine protection under extreme heat. In fact, the best engine protection you can give your car. Only one. Mobile One.
Bob Nystrom does his skates up. St. Louis goes to the power play with the 9th best power play in the NHL.
And Ramage with a shot that was tipped in front of Melanson, hung right with it. Billy Carroll has cleared it out to center ice. He and Goring are the Islander forwards with Morrow and Potvin on defense. LaPointe back inside the St. Louis zone over to Ramage. Ramage fed it into the Islander zone just out of the reach of Fedorko, and Melanson has dumped it out to center ice. That's LaPointe on the far side to Brian Sutter back into the St. Louis zone and hopped over LaPointe's stick, and Ramage has to go for it. Ramage to Sutter. Sutter to Fedorko. Played it to the left side out of the reach of Brian Sutter. Sutter and Morrow came off the boards. Goring has cleared it, not out. LaPointe shot tipped in front of the net and wide as it came off Sutter's stick. Reeds for the Blues, being bothered by Potvin, who got the puck to Goring, and he's backhanded it to center ice. LaPointe feeds it across to Ramage. A minute 5 remaining in the St. Louis power play, and Carroll knocked it off the stick of Ramage, and Morrow is there to shoot it down the ice.
Interesting, Jiggs, that the power play of St. Louis, second on the road. They're second in the NHL on the road, 9th at home, 9th overall, 20th at home.
And you just saw John Tonelli break up the St. Louis power play and test Hines with a long shot. Now LaPointe starts out. Yeah, that really is strange, that stat.
Don't like to use their power play at home.
And now they go offside at the Islander line, which is even worse. 38 seconds remaining in Nystrom's penalty.
They've scored 27 power plays on 143 opportunities. That's at home. That's 18.9%. On the road, they've got 34 goals in 121 attempts for a 28.1% efficiency. Second in the league at home, and overall they're ninth.
The Islanders' penalty killing is third best in the league, and has really in the last 16, 17 games been phenomenal. 93.8% efficiency. Have killed off 60 of 64 penalties against in the last 17 games. They watch Turnbull back in the net, centering one that was cleared by Persson. Comes to the near corner. Babbage with it. Back to Dory. Dory in along the boards to Babbage. 13 seconds left in the penalty. Dory's shot was tipped in front of the net and cleared out of there by Langevin. Heinz out of the St. Louis goal, fed it to the left side for Brownscheitel. Trottier and Bourne up front for the Islanders. Turnbull fed it to Babbage on right wing. A drop pass comes back to the blue line. Teams at 6 aside again. Brownscheitel into the corner. Wayne Babbage, who has been struggling recently, worked it back of the net, but Persson is there. Pedersen on top of him knocks Stefan Persson down. The puck ends up beneath Persson. Some of the fans feel that Stefan made contact, pulled it into his body, but no call. We have a break in the action with 8:04 left in the period, and our score tied. Islanders nothing, Blues nothing.
To World Cup champion Phil Mayer and pro photographer Russ Kinney, challenge is the name of the game. That's when Canon's AE1 program shows the stuff the winning shots are made of. Because to catch the best, you need an instrument with all the features a pro wants.
Hey, Russ. Can I try that? Sure.
With a program mode that even lets Phil shoot like a pro, shade or sun. The AE1 program, so advanced, it's simple.
Canon, the official 35mm camera of the 1984 Olympic Games.
Eddie Potvin just went down to block a shot from Ramage following the face-off, and the Islanders move in. Bossy shot off the right pad of Heinz. Up the right wing side, Janssen kicks it out to center ice for Potvin. Thomas Janssen playing left wing again with Trottier and Bossy, and the Islanders go in offside.
Fine stops at both ends of the ice. Dennis Potvin for the Islanders off Rob Ramage. And Bossy sniping again down the right wing side. Heinz. Look at here, Ramage, point-blank range. Look at the move, Dennis Potvin. Not known to be blocking a lot of shots. Timed it perfectly. Kicked that one away for his goaltender.
Now 7.5 minutes remaining in the opening period. The points effort to clear it out hit Bossy. Bossy around the boards. Johnson moved in, trying to knock it away from Ramage. Bossy got a stick on it. Popped that in from the blue line. Plays it off the board. Johnson's shot came to the side of the net and is covered there by Rick Hines.
It can only lead to a lot of trouble, Jake. St. Louis seem to be backing up playing the hockey game. When they get opportunities, they don't finish well in the Islanders' end. And in their own end of the ice, too many times they're trying to freeze the puck. You can tell by the referee's action that he's telling them to keep the puck moving. He's not going to blow the whistle. They're trying to cover too well. They're backing up in their own end of the ice too often. That only leads to trouble. That's an incentive move for the Islanders. Deflating for the players on the bench to see that kind of action by their teammates for St. Louis.
Now Al Arbor gives us a look at a line with that man, Brent Sutter, at center ice. Dwayne Sutter on the right and Greg Gilbert on the left wing. Langevin and Persson at the points. St. Louis got the draw as Dunlop got it back to Dory. So Andre Dory comes out of his own zone. At center ice, left wing pass out of the reach of Dunlop. Persson back for the Islanders. Plays it up the left wing out of the reach of Gilbert. Down into the St. Louis zone. And Brownstradel takes over there. Gave it to Dory, who lost the puck. Here's Brent Sutter out in front over the stick of Dwayne Sutter. Persson fed it into the corner to Dwayne Sutter to Brent. Brent trying to get away from the checking of Dory, and Dunlop came back to pick up the puck. Handed it to Dwayne Sutter. Dwayne Sutter plays it back to the St. Louis goal where Brownstradel waits for it. Handed it right back to Dwayne. Out in front to Brent. Couldn't get it to the stick. The pass at his skates. Brent Sutter kicks it away from Pettersson. Can't get around Brownstradel, and now Persson held it in at the blue line. It's knocked off his stick. Came outside the line. Persson falling, has the puck beneath him. Down to 6.5 minutes remaining in the opening period.
3 times in a row, St. Louis have possession of the puck, and they hand it right to the Islanders. You're not going to go anywhere doing that. Islanders outplaying and outshooting by 10 shots to 3, St. Louis. St. Louis have had the opportunities. We pointed them out. But the Islanders consistently now in St. Louis's end of the ice kind of play that generally leads to a goal.
Blues making some changes as Barclay Plager has Wilson and LaPointe together on defense. Fedorko is at center ice. Reed's on one side and Sutter on the other. It's Tonelli with Goring and Bossy for the New York Islanders. No score in the first period. The puck comes to center ice. Fedorko fires it wide of Melanson. Brian Sutter in after it. Morrow knocked it away from him. Back to the blue line. A drive by Ramage. They score! The Blues take the lead.
Mark Reed, 23 years old, finally finishes off a play for St. Louis. Here's Ramage. He's had 4 or 5 opportunities already with a hard drive. It's low. Look at the puck go up in the air. You see Reed reach up. The stick below his shoulders, the puck below the crossbar, and he taps it in. Let's look again as Ramage, number 5, drills it from the blue line. There's the shot. Stopped by Melanson, and with the puck in the air, Reed taps it in. St. Louis leads 1-0.
The goal at the 13:48 mark. Only the 9th game for Reeds, and that's his 3rd goal. Now Morrow, the pass to Goring off the stick. Brian Sutter at center ice for St. Louis. Fed it to Fedorko across the line. Bernie Fedorko's pass off Boudelier's stick. Brian Sutter in the corner out in front. Babbage was checked by Goring, and the puck comes back to the blue line. LaPointe works it back to the goal. Fedorko centers a drive off the side of the net. Hit the post. And Tonelli trying to bring it up the left side. It was knocked away from him alongside. They score! Babbage from the blue line has made it 2-0.
Fedorko standing just to the right of Roland Melanson may or may not have touched the puck, but they intercept the pass right here. Babbage, number 10, cleanly beats Roland Melanson. A low drive to the right, 2-0. There's the puck as John Tonelli fought for it. Right to Babbage. It's in the lower left-hand corner to the right of Melanson, and it's quickly 2-0 for St. Louis. Bernie Fedorko from just inside the Islander blue line.
Well, we await the announcement. The goal at 14:33. Well, the Blues in less than a minute have a 2-0 lead built up here. Same scenario as a week ago tonight when the Islanders fell behind in Montreal and battled back for a tie. Now St. Louis has been called for icing. They're going to break in the action with 5:09 left in the first period. The score, St. Louis Blues 2, New York Islanders nothing.
You in a bad mood?
I just hate talking in the morning.
I'll let you shave.
No, stay.
You use Noxzema.
Yeah, Noxzema gives me a great shave. It does something to condition my skin.
Softens it.
Huh?
I can tell when you kiss me. Your face feels real smooth.
Well, I guess it's the moisturizers.
I hate talking in the morning, too.
Noxzema medicated shave cream. Share the softness.
The St. Louis goal to make it 2-0 is credited to Wayne Babbage, only his 16th of the season, from Brian Sutter, and Bernie Federico at 14:33. So the goals 45 seconds apart. And the Blues come to center ice. Anderson over the line. It was knocked off his stick by Potvin. Blues recover at center ice. Dory played it to the left wing. Out of the reach of Patey, and back goes Thomas Janssen. Janssen and Potvin are on defense. Trottier, Nystrom, and Gillies up front. This is Nystrom. A pass to Gillies. Comes over the line. Back to Nystrom. Bob Nystrom trying to work his way around. Dory was checked. And out comes Anderson on the right side. Trottier steps into him, and Nystrom plays it back to Potvin. Potvin, right side to Janssen, out of Nystrom. Nystrom taken out of the board. Janssen goes in after the puck. Out in front to Trottier, a backhander. That went wide of the net. Bourne was knocked down at the side of the goal, and the Blues trying to clear it out. It hit Nystrom. Bobby Nystrom centers. Trottier shot. Glove save. Drops in front and cleared off by Patey. Patey up the right side to Babbage. Long pass into center ice. Turnbull had to wait for it. Janssen unable to tie up Turnbull. Over to Babbage. Babbage trying to work his way around Potvin. Turns, holds on to the puck, centers one to the right side. Lemieux to Wilson, and it was stolen by Bourne to Trottier. Trottier to the St. Louis line. Sent it to Dwayne Sutter, but he was in offside.
It only took a word from you and I, Jiggs, or at least myself, and away went St. Louis. Here's Bob Nystrom working behind the net. See Hines get a piece of the puck. Nystrom out the other side. St. Louis covered well. All you need is a little luck and a hot goaltender, and you can get a 2-0 lead. The Islanders have had some good chances. Hines has been sharp in the net for St. Louis.
Now Persson shoots the puck in wide of the Blues goal. Yeah, Hines has been there when he's been called upon. The Blues have been outshot 11-6, but they lead it 2-0. Bourne trying to come out of the far corner was tripped up from behind, recovered, but lost the puck. Now Brent Sutter rides hurt on Ramage, who is able to kick it out to center before being flattened. Persson to Langevin. Langevin to Brent Sutter, backhands it at the line. Ramage goes after it. Rob Ramage. Up the right side to Babbage. Babbage comes to center. Lemieux trailing the play. Babbage taken out of the boards by Langevin. They go to the corner for it. Lemieux still trailing, able to clear the puck out in front of the net, but Bourne was there. Brownstidle back for the Blues. Less than 3 minutes remaining in the opening period. Alain Lemieux turns at the St. Louis line up the left wing out of the reach of Sutter. Persson chases it. He'll get an icing call against the St. Louis Blues. The Islanders complete this road trip with a game in Pittsburgh on Thursday night. We'll have that for you on WOR beginning at 7:30 Eastern Time. Back the balance of the Islanders schedule on WOR. Another trip to Pittsburgh on a Sunday. And complete a season series. A game from Washington. That could be a pretty good preview as to the opening round of the playoffs between the Islanders and the Capitals. That game is Wednesday, March 30th. And the other game from Pittsburgh will be Sunday, March 27th. Billy Carroll facing off between Kaller and Gilbert for the Islanders. Potvin and Morrow out on defense. Brownstidle back in the net, pulled it away from Carroll, fed it to the right corner. There was Gilbert. Worked it back in the net. Hines swept it to the corner. Billy Carroll in after it. Tied up on one side by Brian Sutter and on the other by Brownstidle, but Kaller was able to dig it loose. Can't center it out in front of the net. Kaller with it again. There was a delay penalty in effect here. Anders Kaller in front, and Gilbert was too well covered. Greg Gilbert gets a stick on it. Gave it to Billy Carroll. Carroll back to Morrow. Morrow tried to work it to the corner, but as the Blues take control, play is called. And with 2:15 left in the period, the Islanders are going to the power play. We're going to go for a preview of the first intermission coming up. Let's check in with Ed Westfall.
Are the St. Louis Blues going to remain in St. Louis? Why were there no trades made of any consequence today in the National Hockey League? Those questions are going to be put to General Manager Emile the Cat Francis at the end of the first period.
Hey, the answer man has been at work, huh? Look forward to that at the end of the first period. Brownscheitel has gone to the penalty box at 17:45.
Andy Keller, no, it's Bob Nystrom. You see Nystrom go down just to the left of the goaltender. Brownscheitel gets a tripping penalty. The Islanders get a chance.
Goals by Reeds and Babbage, 45 seconds apart, have the Blues on top of the Islanders, 2-0. The Islanders have won 5 straight games in this building, have gone 9 straight without a loss to the St. Louis Blues. Gillies out with Trottier and Bossy. This is Potvin on the left side. Around the boards to Trottier. Trottier is checked, goes to the corner to recover the puck. Back to Potvin. Over to Persson. Persson back to Potvin. Takes a look, lets a shot go, and Heinz just got enough of it. Cleared it aside, and there's Ramage shooting it up into the crowd.
Close call. Dennis Potvin's drive from the point. A good one. It's low. It's hard. Ryan Trottier standing in front and just to the left of Rick Heinz. Here's the shot. There's Bossy also. Look at the puck as it trickles this side of the net. Was heading for the goal line and just trickled wide of the net. Good opportunity by the Islanders. They come close on the power play.
Now they get to draw again. Here's Gillies turning in front. The shot goes off the stick up into the crowd. A minute 34 left in the Brownscheitel penalty. 1:49 left in the opening period. A lot of other games in the National Hockey League tonight. Boston has taken an 8-5 lead over the Quebec Nordiques. The Oilers are leading Hartford 8-2. Buffalo and Minnesota tied 1-1. Chicago leads the Flyers 4-1, and it's the Capitals leading New Jersey 4-2. Montreal with a 2-0 lead over Toronto in other games tonight. Calgary's in Los Angeles. The Rangers out on the West Coast against the Canucks. And here it's 2-0 St. Louis as the Islanders are forced back into their own zone. Potvin gave it to Persson. Across to the left wing to Gillies, to Trottier. Worked it in around Wilson. Over comes Ramage. Ramage handed it right to Gillies. Can't set up the play at the side of the net, and Ramage works it up the left side. Bossy's checking. Managed to get it to Potvin. Back to Bossy. Michael Bossy into Trottier. Trottier being tied up by Ramage. Bossy jabs the puck loose. Persson in off the right point. Looks for somebody in front of the net. Persson back to Potvin from the blue line, and that went wide. Trottier tapped it out in front, but the Blues able to recover and have cleared it down the ice. In the meantime, they've got a couple of penalties here. Heinz, the goaltender, is being called for one, and Clark Gillies is going to get the other. He was making things happen in front of the St. Louis goal.
Rob Ramage, number 5, and Gillies. Look at them in front of the net as Gillies tries to fight off Ramage. Clark takes offense to Rick Wilson, number 34 also. Here comes Ramage back. I didn't see Heinz get involved, Jakes, but...
Well, it's a slashing penalty against Heinz. High sticking against Gillies. 18:57 are the times. Wilson comes over to serve the penalty against the St. Louis goaltender. Ron Hasselstein and Ryan Bozak are in quite a discussion with referee Ron Hogarth. You see Potvin and Trottier appealing for the Islanders, feeling that the faceoff should be in the St. Louis zone, not outside the line. You're not going to win that argument.
The whistle generally blows immediately. The Islanders were in possession, crowding around the net. Dennis Potvin, if I remember correctly, had the puck at the point when the whistle blew. That should not constitute a face-off outside. When both teams get the penalty, it's the position that the puck was in when the whistle blew.
Now with a minute to play in the opening period, still 40 seconds remaining in this man advantage for the Islanders. Potvin across to Tonelli. Over the St. Louis line, slipped it to Bourne. Chased to the corner by Dory. Bourne unable to come off the boards. Ramage got a poke at it. It's in Bourne's skates. Long wait, and finally no whistle. Ramage checked back of the net by Tonelli. Got it to Kaller. Kaller looks out in front, gave it to Bourne. To the blue line to Janssen. Back to Bourne. Beatty checking on Bourne. Tonelli was knocked down in front of the net. Here's Bourne to Janssen. Thomas Johnson over to Bourne. Bob Bourne with a drive. That's deflected wide of the net. Picked up by Kaller. Anders Kaller trying to put it out in front. Did. Tonelli too well covered. It ends up under Hines. A quick whistle as the puck sprung loose. And now a lot of shoving and pushing going on. And referee Hogarth is going to hand out a couple more penalties.
That's always a danger of not blowing the whistle when it was stuck along the boards. I like to see them not blow it too quickly. But now he's got the players in front of the net. John Tonelli in this case. Having a set to. Let's take a look in front of the net. There's Tonelli as he fights in front of the net trying to get loose. Takes a couple of hits there. Then Ramage comes back. Ramage, no stick. After Kaller there, John Tonelli trying to get his hands loose, his arms loose, is unsuccessful. Here's Kaller behind the net, looking for an opening to put it in front. There's the loose puck. He put it right back to the goaltender. Very difficult to lift the puck from there. His weight's back on his skates. Can't get the puck out on the end of the stick with any power. And he shot it right back into the goaltender, Heinz. Whistle blew. Tonelli went to the penalty box. Alone?
Oh, with Dory. 2 minutes each for a high sticking at 19:46. Now, the original penalty that set up the power play to Brown's Channel has expired by only 1 second, so the teams are at equal strength again. And again, the referee and the linesmen get together to confer. You see Hogarth, he had just had a discussion with Asselstein. But Gillies and Heinz went off at 18:57, or at least Heinz was penalized, and Wilson is serving that. Now, Tonelli and Dory, both for high sticking at 19:46. So it's Bourne, Kaller, Langevin, and Persson. It's penalties to Tonelli and Dory put the teams at 5 aside. Crombeen out of his own zone with the left side. Brown's Channel works it into the Islander territory. Langevin and Crombeen bump together. The puck comes loose. Langevin trying to go back of the net. And that's going to do it as the horn sounds, ending the opening period. The Islanders all over St. Louis as far as shots on goal are concerned. But the score is another matter as the St. Louis Blues, who have been struggling, seem to have come to life in the last couple of weeks. And as they make a drive for the playoffs, they accomplished what they set out to do in the opening period. They go to the dressing room with a 2-0 lead over the Stanley Cup champions. And the crowd here loving it. So at the end of one, our score, the Blues 2, the Islanders nothing. We'll be back with a recap following these messages.
Gentlemen, we have big, small, in-between packages. We need a company that will deliver them all tomorrow morning. All? On time.
On time?
For sure.
No way.
Emery! Emery AM.
Only Emery AM service schedules delivery of virtually any size shipment to most of America the next morning.
For sure. For sure.
Use Emery AM service. Any size, on time. For sure.
This buzz for everyone who knows they've got what it takes to get the job.
This buzz for you, for all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
Hey, this buzz for you.
Turn a daily drive to work into a stunning performance. That's the magic of the Datsun 200SX. It's a fuel-injected, Hemi-headed, twin-ignited overhead cam tiger. 2.2 liters of muscle wrapped in power styling.
Love your car, Chuck. Looks quick.
Uh-huh. The Datsun 200SX performance speaks louder than words.
Datsun, we are driven.
Yes. My company's operating balances don't earn a dime. What can the Bank of New York do for me?
Manage your money so it makes you money with new Check Invest.
I can't tie up operating funds.
No problem. Check Invest links a regular business checking account to a money market fund.
So I earn money market interest?
Automatically every day.
My bank doesn't have anything like Check Invest.
Does yours? Check Invest, the first business checking plan that manages your money so it makes you money. Only at the Bank of New York.
The first period is over at the Checkerdome in St. Louis with the score. The Blues 2 and the New York Islanders nothing. Shots on goal in the period heavily in favor of the Islanders. 13-6, they outshot St. Louis. But at 13:48, Mark Reed's got his third goal in 9 games. Ramage drawing an assist. It was his shot from the left point. And Reed's tapped into the net for the 1-0 lead. And then 45 seconds later, Wayne Babbage drives one from the blue line through a screen. Assist to Brian Sutter and Bernie Federko. And the Blues have themselves a 2-0 lead over the Islanders. The shots on goal a little deceptive. You consider the chance that Brian Sutter had early in the game, another one by Pettersson. They don't count as shots on goals. Clearly, St. Louis had the better of the scoring opportunities early in the game. And then at the other end of the ice, young Rick Hines handled himself very well. I'd say young in the fact that he's a rookie, although he's 27.
If you only heard the score, Jiggs, and didn't see the game in the first period, you'd wonder what was going on. We had just talked about the fact that St. Louis had some good opportunities. Either bodies were getting in the way, or there was a couple of good stops by Roland Melanson from point-blank range, and it was just after we talked about that all of a sudden things broke loose. That shot by Ramage, he'd broken Andy Caller's stick earlier with a tremendous blast. That one got through. Melanson got a piece of it, but the puck was still loose in front of the net. It was below the crossbar, and Reeds tapped it in. 45 seconds later, it's in again. Babbage gets his 16th. And it seemed odd because the Islanders were coming on strong at that point. They had for 3 straight shifts dominated the play in St. Louis's end of the ice. And it's that kind of play that generally leads to a goal. After we just talked about it, St. Louis broke it open.
And again in that period, Islander coach Al Arbor gave us a look at an awful lot of different line combinations, none of which clicked as far as the score is concerned. So at the end of 1, it's the St. Louis Blues 2 and the New York Islanders nothing. Our intermission will continue from the Checker Dome following these messages.
A perfect egg. Or is it? Magnified 20,000 times, you see imperfections you never knew existed. Look into a car's carburetor and you may see something you never knew existed. Dirt. Dirt that could impede your car's performance. Fortunately, you can wash dirt away before it accumulates with mobile detergent gasoline. It treats dirt like dirt.
This is the home of the New York Islanders, who made history in Hempstead by winning 3 consecutive Stanley Cups. I'm presiding supervisor Tom Galata. Now we're making history in a different way by bringing major businesses to Hempstead. We're attracting industry and a skilled labor pool by cutting red tape and offering a system of parks and recreation that's second to none. We're making history in Hempstead. Join us. Call our industrial development agency, 489-5000.
You're looking at the 2 best reasons I take good care of my brakes. They're why I go to Midas on a regular basis. Midas inspects brakes the right way. They pull the wheel. If anything needs doing, I know it gets done right. Some people say I'm overly cautious, but I don't think so. I just feel better going to Midas.
We're nothing but the best he's ever gonna do. Trust the Midas touch.
Goals by Mark Reeds and Wayne Babbage have staked the St. Louis Blues to a 2-0 lead over the New York Islanders at the end of 1 period. Now down to Ed Westfall and his guests.
Thank you, Jiggs. My guest, the general manager, president, general manager of the St. Louis Blues, Emile Francis. Emile, today seemed rather, I'd say, disappointing, I suppose, in a lot of people's eyes, and the fact that obvious by the absence of not really too many trades. Is general managers backing off this year?
Well, it's very unusual, Ed. This is the first deadline that I've ever approached and gone by without making a deal. And you could get the sense of it here about 4 or 5 days ago that maybe there wasn't going to be too much action. And I think a lot of the things that you're faced up to now is that basically there are 18 teams who are in the playoffs or have a shot for the playoffs, and only New Jersey and Pittsburgh and Hartford are really out. But I sort of anticipated that they may do something, but they haven't. But it's funny when you're trying to make a deal now, first thing you say, if you do get to the point where you agree on the players, is, well, how long is the contract and how much is it? And sometimes that's a drawback.
What would you like to see change so that maybe there is a little more action around the league for trades?
Well, I think that the deadline should be a little earlier. I would say rather than going into March, that even when we're back, say, February the 1st, that maybe teams would be looking for help just to possibly a little bit more than they are now. I think it's too close to the end of the season. And as a result, I think if you move that deadline up earlier, that there'd be more teams willing to trade.
Emile, you just mentioned about players and their contracts, and that sometimes holds up a trade. Is there something that general managers or owners can do to, to curtail something like that?
Yeah, really, I think we all paid less. It'd be much easier and maybe wheeling some of those contracts out.
That makes me then say, for instance, a player. Isn't there anything anymore like an incentive kind of clause in a contract where you pay a player maybe, the amount of money you might think he's worth and then give him escalating clauses?
There is, of course. You have performance bonuses both for the individual and also team bonuses. But I think like every other sport, the average salary is escalated. And, of course, we do have people in the league, not as much as we used to have, but on 2 and 3 and maybe some on 4-year contracts. But I have found that there are more two-way contracts, which I think is a big plus for the league, because if you play in the National League, you should be paid like a National League, but if you're in the minor leagues, you should be paid like a minor league. Most of the contracts now, that's the way we're going.
What about Emile Francis and the St. Louis Blues? Did you come close to making a deal?
I would say we were fairly close. However, there are 2-3 players in our hockey club who everybody would like to have had. But by the same token, we couldn't get what we thought was right in return. And we're fortunate we have 4 or 5 kids we brought up through the injuries that have occurred here, and they're playing well. So we just decided, well, as much as it hurts not to make a deal, we'll take our chances.
What kind of a player, Emile, is a player that would stimulate? Right now, you're in a real battle for, for playoff positions. And is there a position or is there a certain style of player that you would really like to have with the team or would have liked to have gotten?
Yeah, really, number one, of course, I still think the key is in goal, that your goalkeepers can do maybe more for than anybody else. And if it's not the goalkeeper, then you need a leader up front. And a Brian Sutter type of player, of course, he fits that mold for us. But where we've got hurt and what we're looking for is on the right side. It's the side we thought we were going to be the strongest when the season started. And Blair Chapman, we thought would get 30 goals, has only scored 8, and he's now in the minor leagues. Wayne Babbage, who anticipated would score 40, and he had 13 until the other night. He got 2 more, so he's at 15. And then the real big blow to us, losing Joey Mullen, because he was our most productive right winger, and he hurt his knee a month ago, and he's out for the rest of the season. So what you look for, how are you going to replace the Joey Mullen? And you're looking for a goal scorer. They're at a premium. The ones that have wouldn't let him go.
Emile, being a goaltender yourself in the National Hockey League, something seems strange around right now, and you talked about goaltenders. Your goaltender, Mike Layute, coming off a tremendous year a couple of years ago, and you've had Lassard in Los Angeles and Dion in Pittsburgh, all all-star goaltenders, that all of a sudden things seem to change. Can you put a finger on what made it happen that way?
Yeah, I think that scoring is fun. We've had a lot of guys having too much fun. Checking is hard work. And as a result of a loose play at times, the goalkeepers now, instead of maybe facing 25 to 30 shots a game, that goalkeeper's getting 35 to 40. And as a result, they're carrying twice the workload. And a goalkeeper can only be shot at so often, particularly, it's not a case of getting beat on the first shot, but they're getting beat on the second, third shots. And to me, that's just loose defensive play.
Let me ask you about goaltending then. One more question, Emile. Goaltenders alternate in some cases. Some take on a fair amount of workload. Would you ever allow a goaltender to play the whole season under certain circumstances?
I think about the most the goalkeeper can play, particularly if he's going to do anything for it in the playoffs, is I'd say a premium of 60 games. I think anything over that, you're going to wear the guy out completely. And we went through that 2 years ago with Layute, and we didn't help him in the playoffs by the amount of time that we played him. But we got ourselves in a dogfight that year with the Islanders, and first place overall really was a goal rather than maybe the playoffs, and I think we helped wear him out a little bit.
You're always learning.
For sure. When you stop learning, get out of the game.
One more quick question. Are the St. Louis Blues going to stay here in this great city?
The people here, evidently, who are working on a committee with the mayor, say they're going to come in with a proposal by March the 15th, which is next week. And we all sincerely hope that it'll work out, because there's no finer city to be in than St. Louis.
I agree, and thank you very much, Emile.
My pleasure.
Emile Francis. Now back up to you, Jakes.
All right, Eddie, tonight's guest will receive from Deutsch Jewelers a Seiko watch, a winning combination of quartz accuracy and ultra-thin styling. Seiko at Deutsch Jewelers, the store for all your jewelry needs in Hicksville, Queens, and Manhattan. At the end of one, it's the Blues 2. The New York Islanders nothing will return to the Checker Dome in St. Louis right after these messages.
This Bud's for everyone who's got the heart and courage to go the distance.
Yeah,
just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
We just stole this new Nissan Sentra.
New Nissan Sentra. You need this car.
We stole it.
For only $49.49.
Ultra mileage.
Front-wheel drive.
Plenty of power.
5-passenger room.
Still only $49.49.
I need this car.
You need a Nissan Sentra. It's a steal.
Datsun, we are driven.
While most air freight companies spend the day on the ground, racing to pick up small packages so they can deliver them overnight, someone is already delivering them the same day. Eastern Airlines. Eastern Sprint service guarantees you small package delivery to over 90 cities the same day, or you don't pay. The guys who fly by night can't do that. Eastern Sprint, when it definitely, unquestionably has to be there today.
Today, take your first step into a bright new world of investment opportunity and financial security. Let Prudential Bache introduce you to Total Financial Planning, a lifetime strategy to properly place your investment assets for maximum returns. Total Financial Planning, the only sensible course of action for the uncertain 80s, and we offer it to you. Call us now. Prudential Bache Securities. Bring us your future.
Bring us your future.
The St. Louis Blues trying to win their 20th game of the season and move 5 points ahead of Toronto and Detroit. Have a 2-0 lead over the New York Islanders. Their goals came 45 seconds apart. We're going to go back and take a look at them. Here's Ed Westfall.
Thank you, Jake. It wasn't until 13:48. There was good chances at both ends of the ice that the score 0-0 was broken 1-0. Ken Morrow tries to clear the puck right to Ramage. Ramage gets time, tees it up. There's the shot stopped by Roland Melanson. Rebound was in the air just long enough for Reeds to knock it in. 23-year-old Mark Reeds. There's the shot by Ramage. Watch for the rebound. Seems to be delayed action right there. Look at no one near him. Not an Islander defender, and Reeds easily taps it out of midair up into the net. His third goal of the season from Ramage and Fedorko at 13:48. 45 seconds later at 14:33. The pass in front. That shot off the crossbar by Sutter. Brian Sutter hit the crossbar. Islanders trying to clear the puck. Right to number 10, Wayne Babbage, and a shot just inside the left goal post as we look again at St. Louis getting their second goal of the first period. Babbage is to get his 16th goal. There it is. A hard shot from the point. Fedorko standing right nearby got an assist. Sutter got an assist. That came at 14:33, and the period ended 2-0 for St. Louis. Now the Islanders have their work cut out, Jakes, particularly when you think that St. Louis didn't play extremely well in the first period and got away with 2-0. That's going to give them, of course, a lot of incentive. They didn't expect probably to be leading the Islanders 2-0 at the end of one. That's got to be a big plus for St. Louis. Down at the other end, the Islanders, who all season long have had trouble coming from behind and winning. They're starting to show a few more signs of being able to do that lately, but will they be able to do it tonight? They have 2 periods. What they're thinking is the first period is over. Let's forget about it. It was kind of a funny period. We may have played not too bad. 13 shots. They outshot St. Louis 13-6, but the score is all that counts.
And as we get ready for the second period, you see Clark Gillies and John Tonelli in the penalty boxes. And for the Blues, Andre Dory, Rick Wilson is serving a penalty assessed against the St. Louis netminder, Rick Hines. So the teams are at 5 aside, including goaltenders. Gillies and Hines. Gillies and Hines went off at 18:57.
If Washington are watching the game, they lead New Jersey 5-2. Of course, they're only 2 points back of the Islanders at 78 points. Nothing they'd like better than to see the Islanders lose. They win, they'd be tied with the Islanders at 80 points apiece.
And the Islanders go home to play the Washington Capitals at the Nassau Coliseum Saturday at 5:05. Long bouncing shot steered aside as Johnson dumped it in, and now he is replaced by Morrow. Bourne and Kaller up front as the Blues come over center ice. Fedorko into the Islanders zone, and it was poked off his stick, brought out by Bourne. Right side to Kaller. Kaller breaks over the line, shooting, and it was wide on the glove side. Ryan Sutter for the Blues dumps it into center ice. Morrow came over to knock it away from Bernie Fedorko. Fedorko up the right side, stolen by Brownscheitel, steps over the line with a drive. Pad save by Melanson. Bob Bourne clears it, but not out. The puck handed right back to Potvin by Vigneault, and the Islanders have shot it into the St. Louis zone, wide of the net. Brownscheitel will touch up. That's icing against the Islanders.
Good opportunity for the New York Islanders. Anders Kaller, he has Bourne steaming in on the left side. At the top of your picture, you don't quite see him. There's the shot by Kaller. Goes wide. Vigneault, number 32, in pursuit. Here's Brownscheitel as he lets fly with a hard shot. Good stop by Melanson with the left pad. You see him quickly move his left leg into the air to kick the puck away.
Now some debris being picked up down at the St. Louis end of the ice. We look at Roland Melanson as he gets set for this face-off to his left. Washington with a 5-2 lead over New Jersey, as you pointed out, 18, and that's, I'm sure the Islanders have noticed on the board. Ramage has drilled one wide of the net from the blue line. It came to the near side. Vigneault unable to hold it in, and Bossy rides hurt on him. The puck came back to Patey. Patey into his own zone, and the Blues start from there. Vigneault up the right side. It went off Langevin. Controlled now by Mike Bossy. Bossy to Persson. Persson across to Langevin. Langevin fed it to Trottier. Right side to Bossy. Bossy steps into the St. Louis zone, working his way around Brownscheitel. Went back of the net with it. Slipped the check, gave it to Persson. He shoots. That went wide. There's a penalty call coming up on the play. And as the puck is frozen at the side of the net, we're going to get a tripping call against the Blues.
Jack Brownscheitel, number 16, a tripping penalty. Gives the Islanders another advantage. Ron Hogarth signals that chopping motion toward the feet. A tripping penalty.
This will be only the second power play chance of the night for the Islanders. Brownscheitel again, a second tripping penalty. This one at 1:22 of the second period. Let's
right in front of the net, Jake. There is the trip. Brownscheitel. No question about it. Ron Hogarth compelled to make that call. Get tripping, interference, whatever. It's still 2 minutes.
We applauded the Islander penalty killing earlier. The power play has been almost non-existent. In the last 7 games, only 2 power play goals on 20 chances. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out at 10% efficiency. We watch them here, Trottier, Bossy, Persson, and Potvin as they play 4 against 3. A lot of room to move around in, and Persson fed the puck to Bossy. Bossy out to center ice, works on Ramage and Wilson as he dropped it back to Potvin. Comes over the line. Potvin left side to Trottier. Couldn't handle the puck. Picks it up again. Back to Bossy. Into Trottier. Slips out in front of backhander, and Hines came across the block net. Persson to Trottier. Trottier to Bossy. Bossy looks for Tonelli. Can't get the puck to him. Tonelli went back of the net. Fed it to Bossy. To the blue line to Persson. Over to Potvin. Potvin a drive. That was blocked by Patey. Bossy races after, turns, shoots, and that went wide. John Tonelli off the near boards. Back to Persson. He's shooting. Good stop by Hines, and the puck comes up the left wing to Patey. Harry Patey forces the Islanders back with a minute remaining in Brownscheitel's penalty.
An applause for Rick Hines, the goaltender. Well deserved.
Now John Tonelli leads the rush. Gave the puck to Persson, to Bossy. Bossy over the St. Louis line on right wing. Shoots it around the boards. Dunlop chases it. Trottier stepped in front of him. Trottier to Tonelli. Into the corner for Bossy. To the blue line to Persson. Back to Bossy. Trying to set up Trottier. It hit Vigneault. Comes loose, and the Blues counts on it immediately. Crombeen has managed to get it out into center ice. And there is Potvin. Potvin to Trottier. Turns with 24 seconds left in the power play. Trottier to Johnson. Shot it around the boards. Hines cuts it off back of the net. In went Gillies. Knocked it loose. Here's Crombeen in the near corner. Jabbing at it is Goring on one side. In came Gillies. They got the puck up to the far side, or the near side, I should say, but Dunlop stepped in front. And again, the Islanders go back, and they're going to be 0 for 2 on the power play. As Brownscheitel steps out on the ice, the team's at 6 aside. Potvin unable to get it out in the first attempt. Here's Goring. Goring back to Janssen, and the crowd really alive here in the Checker Dome, applauding their Blues, who killed off that penalty. Now Gillies drops the puck to Janssen, comes over the blue line. Janssen checked by Brian Sutter. Sutter into center ice. Potvin had headed for the bench, managed to get back out there to slow up Sutter. Now Janssen steps in front of the St. Louis captain, and the puck goes to the far corner for Clark Gillies. Gillies lost it. The Blues trying to get something organized deep in the Islanders zone around to Fedorko. Fedorko centering attempt hit Janssen. Kaller starts out on the right side. It's 3-on-2 as Goring moves over center ice. Back to Kaller. Gillies on the left side. Anders Kaller to Gillies. He shoots. Blocked at the defense. A sliding block by Rick Wilson. And Brian Sutter plays it to the Islanders zone, but right to Morrow. Morrow to Carroll. Off his stick into the Blues territory. In comes Dwayne Sutter, bumped solidly by his older brother Brian Carroll with the puck. Billy Carroll shot. What a save by Rick Hines. And again, Billy Carroll remains scoreless. 61 games without a goal. A great chance here, 18.
Fine opportunity. Hines, a fine save. A break in the action with the score. The Blues 2. The Islanders nothing. We'll be right back.
This Bud's for everybody who puts in a hard day's work.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
What a nice opportunity. Billy Carroll. Hines gets better as the game goes on. The Islanders haven't beat him, but they've got some good opportunities in this period again, and Hines has equaled the occasion.
Billy Carroll centers for Greg Gilbert and Dwayne Sutter at the moment. That's Gilbert in a battle for the puck on the far boards. It went to Blake Dunlop of the Blues. Over to Brownscheitel, and he's hit solidly by Dwayne Sutter. So the Blues back into their own zone to recover the puck. Long pass to Dunlop at center ice. To Pettersson, and Dwayne Sutter stepped in front of him. Dwayne Sutter knocked it away from Crawford. To Morrow around to the left wing for Greg Gilbert. Gilbert's pass onto the stick of Billy Carroll to Dwayne Sutter. Comes over the line on right wing. Sutter goes in deep. Recovers, shoots, hit the post. Off the goaltender's catching glove, up against the post, and the Blues control it again. Brownscheitel has cleared it out to center. There's Gilbert. Gilbert to Morrow. Waits for Dwayne Sutter to get back on side. Sutter at center ice. Drops it back for Boudelier to the left side. That's Gilbert. Greg Gilbert to Carroll, and the pass was knocked away from him. Cleared by Brownscheitel. Morrow out at center ice. Gave it to Carroll. Cleared it to the boards. Brownscheitel hit again. Gilbert picks up the puck. Sent Nystrom over the line. Can't get through the defense. Crawford with a good pass to Pettersson. Pettersson played it off Lemieux into the Islanders zone. The Islanders start from deep in their own territory, and a bad pass. Vigneault, a drive, blocked by Melanson. That went up in the air, comes down at the skates of Wayne Babbage, then he lost it to Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter with Bourne and Nystrom. Nystrom unable to take the pass from Morrow, and the Blues hustle back. St. Louis leading 2-0. Here's Ramage backhanding it. It goes right into the Islander bench, and play is called. 13:56 remaining in the period. A break in the action with our score. St. Louis Blues 2, New York Islanders nothing.
Introducing the new Nissan King Cab at your Datsun dealer.
One heck of a truck.
Plenty of legroom up front and room for people and gear in back.
One hump of a truck.
Double walls of steel and the most powerful standard engine in its class.
Nissan.
Save with 9.9% truck financing at Datsun dealers. Ends March 31st.
Hines coming off a fine save from Billy Carroll's attempt. Look at this one. Bang, what a stop. As he got his glove on it, the puck hit the goalpost right at the base. Not to go in. Good chance by Dwayne Sutter, as you saw it from the end rink.
Now the puck in the St. Louis zone following the draw. Cleared, but held in by Langevin. This time they flip it high in the air as Rob Ramage forces the Islanders to go back. Brent Sutter with Bob Bourne and Bob Nystrom. Brent Sutter gave it to Langevin, then to Persson. Person's pass, get off Lemieux's stick. Controlled now by Langevin up the right wing side to Nystrom. Over center ice, Nystrom across the St. Louis line with a drive off the stick of Ramage. Nystrom and Ramage tie up one another. Brent Sutter stole the puck, starts in, gave it to Bourne, cuts through the goal mouth, a loose puck, it's under Hines on the doorstep and kicked aside by Lemieux. The Blues shoot it up into the crowd to get a whistle, but Lemieux came back to help his goaltender. It's still 2-0.
You can't come any closer. Watch Brent Sutter. Hit from behind by Ramage, gives it to Bourne. Bourne goes in, stopped by Hines. A loose puck as the Islanders try to knock it loose. It does. It's laying on the goal line. Kicked aside by Lemieux. Let's watch again as Ramage goes after Brent Sutter. There's the attempt. Look at the loose puck. As Bourne goes in, Brent Sutter comes back. Watch for the goal line as the puck comes loose from underneath the goaltender. And then it's kicked out.
A team effort for the Blues.
Got back quickly to cover up on their mistake. Frustrating to the Islanders. This game is going to be a pretty good test for the Islanders, Jake. They're down 2-0. They're on the road. They're playing against a team that hasn't played .500 hockey all season long. Can the Islanders hold enough composure and show enough to come back and win it?
Potvin shot from the point is blocked. The puck came loose in front. Crombie able to cover it up and get it to Anderson. He's checked at center by Potvin. Now Brownscheitel moves over. Brownscheitel gave it to Anderson. He has flipped it high in the air and ends up deep in the Islanders' zone and bouncing to Patey. Patey centers one that hit Morrow. Loose at the side of the net. And Melanson is able to feed it to Janssen. Now to Kaller. Kaller over center ice. Long pass to Trottier. Cuts in off the wing. He shoots. Hit the side of the net. Trottier goes back to the net. Out to Kaller, who was bumped off the play. Potvin holds it in. Eddie Potvin comes in deep on the right side. Back of the net to Trottier. To Janssen. Janssen centering attempt went into Crombie's skates. Came back to Janssen. Thomas Janssen had battled for it in the corners. Finally knocked off the puck and it went to Brownscheitel. To Patey. 3-on-2 as they cross the center ice stripe. Patey takes a look and then they moved in offside. A break in the action. 12:14 to play in the second period. The score is St. Louis 2, New York Islanders 0.
Eastern America's favorite way to fly now flies to South America. So if you want to get the most out of South America, go with the U.S. airline that flies to the most cities in South America. Call your travel agent for Eastern Airlines.
Good backhand by Anders. Kaller sprung Trottier. Trottier's low drive hit the outside of the net, just outside the goalpost to the right of Rick Heinz, the goaltender.
Now back to the live action. We watch the Islanders come out of their own zone. Langevin has dumped it in wide of the net. Nelly went in after it. Ramage knocked it away from him. Around to the right side. Reeds is checked by Langevin. Wilson there on the St. Louis defense, and they're calling it a hand pass.
Dave Langevin moved the puck ahead to a teammate with his hand. Face-off comes outside. It can be scary to a hockey team, Jake. The thing here the Islanders do not want to do is start to play individually. They can't have each guy making an attempt with the puck to try and stick handle through the St. Louis team and score a goal. Got to hold the composure, keep working. They're getting opportunities. They have to know enough to be able to just keep working hard and know that the attempts will keep coming and then the goals will come behind. As long as Rick Heinz plays the way he is, though, that statement could be in doubt.
And we look at another line combination for the Islanders. Tonelli with Fossey and Gillies. Federico moves up, and the puck was cleared in by Wilson. There's Brian Sutter. Couldn't get to it. John Tonelli for the Islanders. Fed it off to Gillies. Langevin moves up with him as they come over the line. Gillies with a shot. That went wide of the net. Mike Fossey after the loose puck. Unable to center it cleanly. It comes around the boards. But controlled by the Blues. Ramage moves up the left side into center ice. Ramage, a long shot, stick saved by Melanson, and now the Blues start a player change. Fossey took the pass, fed it to the right side for Gilbert, who has just come out for the Islanders. Couldn't get into the St. Louis zone. Persson to Langevin, back to Gilbert. Gilbert sends Dwayne Sutter in on the right wing. A drive. Heinz got a straight skate on it. Big rebound up the right wing side to Blake Dunlop. Dunlop, he was knocked off the puck by Boudelier, who will take a penalty. A holding call against Boudelier, which seems like a strange one, the way he stepped in front of the St. Louis player. So there is a break in the action with 10:45 left in the second period. The scores, the Blues 2, the Islanders nothing.
There are two ways to get a home improvement loan, the hard way and the smart way. The same for an auto loan, the hard way and the smart way. At the Bank of New York, we call the Smart Way Action Phone, and it means you can apply for any loan without leaving home. So if you're eyeing a new car or a new roof, dial 1-800-942-1784. Action Phone from the Bank of New York. What a smart way to get a loan.
I don't believe this is called as a penalty, but I'm not the referee. Paul Boudelier goes across to lay a check. He got his left hand on the jersey, but my goodness, if that's going to be a penalty call, what are we going to wait for the rest of the game?
It's called for a holding, and Boudelier at 9:15. Second power play of the game for St. Louis. Jorgen Pettersson put it into the skates of Potvin. Now back to Dunlop. To Pettersson, fake the shot. Tries to get people moving around, succeeds in that, starts in, centered one that was blocked by Goring. And Trottier, excuse me, has cleared it out into center ice. Trottier brought the stick up, and the Islanders are going to be 2 men short. St. Louis in control of the puck. Pettersson over the line. It was poked away by Morrow. He did not control it. So St. Louis continues here. The goaltender starts out of the net. St. Louis in control of the puck. Fedorko in front, steered aside by Melanson, and now a penalty call against the New York Islanders.
A slashing call goes against the Islanders. They're going to be 2 men short. 1 minute and 13 seconds still remain on Paul Boudelier's holding penalty.
Well, they're calling it on Melanson for slashing. Trottier had brought the stick up, but did not get the call there. Apparently it happened behind the play, and Melanson is called for slashing. So the St. Louis Blues will have a 2-man advantage for 1 minute and 13 seconds, barring any further penalties.
That brings again to mind, Jake, the question about whether or not you hand the puck over. I think the St. Louis Blues should have handed the puck to the Islanders immediately. They'd have had a 2-man advantage without any confusion for, instead of 1 minute and 13 seconds they'll have now, for at least 1 minute and 30 seconds.
You saw Morrow for one back away from it. Let St. Louis continue to control it.
He knew.
Smart on his part.
Smart, yes. Smart play on Morrow's part. Keep the clock running. Wind down the first penalty as far as possible.
So now we watch the Blues. 6 against 4. Ramage's shot. Good stop by Melanson. The puck cleared by Potvin. Over comes Trottier. Couldn't get there in time. Fedorko back to Ramage. Ramage fed it to the right side. Dunlop holding on to it. Goes in deep. Gave it to Pettersson. Back to Dunlop. To Ramage. Ramage over to the far side. They score. Pettersson on a pretty pass from Ramage. It appeared as if he were going to shoot it. Passed off instead, and it's 3-0 on the power play.
The mistake by the Islanders, capitalized by St. Louis. Back to Ramage. Ramage sees Fedorko open on that side, and bang, he's got the whole net. Melanson cannot move quick enough. The puck moves faster than the man. And we look again at a fine play by Ramage. Fedorko has given St. Louis a 3-0 lead, 1 minute and 36 seconds. 1 minute and 36 still remaining on the penalty to Roland Melanson.
Ramage and Dunlop get assists. The goal is Pettersson's. It's his 27th of the year. Pettersson at 10:24. Now still 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining in the second Islander penalty.
Where did I get Fedorko on that? It's a long way from the Swedish player.
Well, it's the only goal Fedorko hasn't been in on tonight. He drew an assist on Reed's goal and also on the one by Babic in the first period.
Thank you.
Pettersson on the far side. Across to Ramage. Lets one go through a screen and just wide. Pettersson comes off the boards with it. Pettersson circling, trying to come out in front of the net. Gave it to Wilson. A shot through a screen is tipped over top of the net as Brian Sutter made contact with it. He and Langevin went to the boards. There's Fedorko to Pettersson. Pettersson got away from Bourne. Gave it to Wilson. Now to Ramage. Ramage across to the far side for Pettersson. In deep, 38 seconds left in the power play. Pettersson unable to center it. Melanson gets a stick on it and puts it up into the crowd.
Melanson just did a favor for St. Louis again. Sutter, Brian Sutter for St. Louis, number 11, who started this whole thing for St. Louis, had broken his stick. Had the Islanders not knocked the puck out, they'd have been able to control it and get it down the ice. Melanson knocked it over the glass as Sutter was heading for the bench to get another stick, which would have, of course, put the teams at even strength.
And now the face-off will be to the left of the Islander goal. 32 seconds left in Melanson's slashing penalty. And the job is more difficult. Down 3-0. 8.5 minutes to play in the second period. Scoring on the draw. The puck came back to the blue line, held in by Andre Dory to the right side, and right back to Dory is Lemieux fed it to him. Dory's shot went wide, comes out in front. Babbage shot it wide. He was all alone in front of the net, but rushed it. Kennelly comes out of his own territory, working on Braunscheitel. Dory hustling back. Kennelly had trouble handling the puck, and the Blues start out with 10 seconds in the power play. Babbage on the right side. Potvin goes back to pick it up for the Islanders. Kenny Potvin failed to clear it out of there. Babbage overskated it. Now Braunscheitel leaves it for Lemieux. Alain Lemieux is checked and came back to Dory. Moves in deep. Lets one go. Juggled by Melanson and cleared aside. Teams at full strength again. Dory across to Babbage, and he shot it high and wide. Billy Carroll and Lemieux tie up one another on the far boards, and there's no further play. There's a break in the action in St. Louis with 7 minutes and 41 seconds to play in the middle period. The score, well, we've got a conference.
Covering Jerry Pate is a super opportunity for a photographer.
If I win this tournament, I'm going to make you famous.
I counted on my Canon AE1 program with all the features a pro wants to capture all the sides of Pate's game.
Now it's your turn. I told you I was going to make you famous.
The AE1 program makes the toughest shots simple.
The Canon AE1 program. So advanced, it's simple. Canon, the official camera of the National Hockey League.
The linesman, Ron Asselstein, restraining John Tonelli as we went to commercial. Tonelli and Turnbull got into it at the side of the Islander goal, and they'll both be going off, probably for fighting. And maybe other penalties tacked on, but Terry Turnbull, who will be 24 tomorrow, number 9, heads for the box. John Tonelli has already moved in.
Some excessive use of the stick around the net by Melanson, I have to feel, triggered that whole episode, Jig. Roland has been hacking away at guys, whether he feels that they're in too close on him around the goal crease during the 2-man advantage and the 1-man advantage that St. Louis was enjoying, or whether or not frustration has taken over in his part. Only he knows, but he was swinging away with the stick. Babbage twice was in, and the puck eluded him. The puck came to him, but it was bouncing. One he shot wide, the other he just misfired on altogether, as St. Louis get chances and chances again and again.
But the Islanders get a break on the penalties. Eddie Turnbull is drawing a double roughing penalty. Tonelli a single roughing penalty. They're assessed at 12-19 as you look at the penalty board.
Jiggs, I made reference to the fact that Brian Sutter had started all this, and the way he started it was he hit Dwayne Sutter with a tremendous body check down in St. Louis's end of the ice. And until that point, the game was fairly tame. Not a lot of hard hitting. And when he did that, the whole tempo of the game picked up, and the end result were penalties, particularly the two, Melanson and Boudelier, and St. Louis scored another goal.
Now Langevin has cleared the puck, but not out. Dory's shot went wide of the net. Comes back to Braunscheitel on this left side. Jack Braunscheitel cleared it to the corner. Persson knocked it loose as he and Pettersson came together. It's cleared back to Braunscheitel. That's one goal. Melanson the save. It's loose and cleared by Persson, but not out. Braunscheitel shot it wide of the net. It bounced right through the goal mouth, and Gilbert picks it up. But the referee has blown the whistle. The goal has come off the pipes, the moorings, just to the left side of Roland Melanson.
Goaltenders either forced back against the net, or sometimes they do it deliberately. There's the shot off the backboard by Braunscheitel. Out in front of the net, Stefan Persson has it in the skates, then clears it. There's another shot. Braunscheitel right on the net that time. Roland Melanson played the angle right, made the save. The second one off the boards, went right out in front of the net like a pass, and it was at that point Roland Melanson fell back against the net heavily, losing his balance, knocking it off the mooring.
So now we get ready for a face-off on the far side of the ice in the Islanders zone. The draw came back to Ramage, shot it around the boards. Melanson had trouble with the back of the net as it came off the boards. Right out in front, we got in front of it. Fedorko was there, but couldn't tap it under Roland Melanson. Brent Sutter moves up, shooting it into the St. Louis territory. Hines cleared that to the corner. Gilbert worked it back of the net, and over comes Bernie Fedorko. A minute 10 remaining in Tonelli's penalty. Then the Islanders will have a man advantage as Sutter has shot it wide of the Islander net. Langevin back for it. Around to Stefan Persson. Persson to Langevin. Brent Sutter and Gilbert start out as Langevin fed it across to Persson. Now to Brent Sutter. Comes over the St. Louis line with a shot. Hines, the glove save, and he threw it off to Fedorko. 3-0 St. Louis as Fedorko tries to get away from Carroll, fed it across to Ramage. Ramage had it stolen by Bourne, but he couldn't cut in. Ramage caught up with him. Now Sutter to Fedorko, and that's stolen by Potvin to Bourne across the St. Louis line. Drop pass. Carroll couldn't handle it. And Brian Sutter has shot it down the boards, rolling on edge into the Islander zone. Hop, skips, and jumps its way over the goal line and is called for icing. 23 seconds left in Tonelli's penalty. 2:23 remaining in the penalty to Turnbull. Well, the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders are tied for second place in the Patrick Division. The Capitals went into the Meadowlands complex tonight and have defeated the New Jersey Devils 5-4. Washington winning their 33rd game this year, giving them 80 points. They've played 68 games. The Islanders are playing in their 69th at this moment and trail 3-0. Chicago beat the Flyers in Philadelphia 4-1 as Potvin gave it to Morrow. The shot was blocked neatly by Crombie. Picked up again by Crombie. Around the boards. Down away from Dory. There's Billy Carroll for the Islanders. Carroll taken off the puck. It's cleared into the corner, but Dory was back. Tonelli is out of the box. The Islanders with an extra man here. They had the play in the St. Louis zone, but it was cleared, and Morrow has shot it back in on a delayed offside. So Dory takes his time, brings it out over the line, and shoots it down the ice. The Islanders zip on the power play tonight. Patey check came out in front. Crombie golfing at one, and it went over top of the net. There's Morrow around the boards to Potvin. Kenny Potvin up to Bossy. Couldn't make contact with the puck. Bossy, Trottier, and Gillies, the Islander forwards. Dory has forced them back into their own zone, however, with 5 minutes remaining in the second period. Morrow carrying the puck to Bossy. Takes a look, starts the rush. Bossy had it knocked off his stick, has to recover. Now up the left side to Denny Potvin. Potvin shot it into the St. Louis zone. Hines out of the net, left it for Ramage, cleared it, but not out. It hit his teammate Anderson. There's Clark Gillies. Anderson grabs a hold of him. Gillies able to get it back in the net. Trottier chases it. Trottier to the blue line to Persson. Into Trottier, but it's tipped off the stick and into the crowd.
The gamble, Skiggs. The Islanders are gambling. They're gambling in their own end of the ice. That is not the place to gamble. You should be gambling in St. Louis's end, where they're having trouble getting the puck and getting control of it. A couple of times there. Crombie left all alone in front of the net as Larry Patey dug the puck off the backboards behind and to the left of Roland Melanson, fed it out in front, and again the puck bouncing and rolling. Crombie had lots of time, but the puck wouldn't sit still for him, and he blasted it over the net.
Now Trottier with Gillies to the right, Bossy to the left. Some shoving going on between Ramage and Gillies as they lined up. The puck dropped. Trottier got it to Janssen to Persson. Persson across to Thomas Janssen. Comes in, gave it back to Bossy. Bossy with a drive. Hines got a piece of it. Here's Janssen on the far side to Bossy. Bossy slipped it over to Janssen on a slow pass. Back to Bossy. Bossy tees it up. He shoots. Hines makes the save there. Janssen comes off the corner board. Back to Bossy. Moves in. He shoots. That was blocked in front. Rolls loose, and the Blues are able to clear it out of there. Melanson way out of the Islander net. Fed it off to Janssen, who was first back. Thomas Janssen into center ice. Crossed the line, gave it to Trottier. Over to Persson. Now to Bossy. Mike Bossy to the right side. Bourne walks in, shoots. Hines robs him. Trottier's shot was blocked. Trottier robbed, and the puck comes back to Janssen. Janssen into Bossy. Once more to Janssen. He comes in from the blue line across to Persson. Persson to Janssen. Penalty is expired. Bossy a shot. Heinz the save. And again, the power play goes nowhere, and the puck has been cleared down into the Islanders' zone. Melanson out of the net. This is going to be called for icing as Janssen touches up. And a standing ovation for the Blues, who killed off yet another Islander power play.
They love him already here in St. Louis, where he's back for the second time. Rick Heinz, 27 years old, Essex, Ontario. You see him, he just adjusted his equipment. Played at the University of Minnesota, Duluth. He belonged to St. Louis. They traded him away to Vancouver and then bought him back. There's Bourne being robbed. Look at Trache with the rebound. Ramage helps his goaltender, Heinz, as they knock the puck away. Helps to be lucky, and sometimes if you're good, the luck follows you along.
3-0, St. Louis leading the Islanders. Rick Heinz has faced 26 shots to this stage of the game. Melanson has faced only 16 as the Islanders are down by a score of 3-0. And Morrow has shot it in wide of the net. Doré around the boards to the right wing side. Mark Reeds, who has one of the 3 goals, played it into center ice, and that's Boudelier giving it to Morrow. Back to Boudelier to the left side to Bourne. Tipped it right to Doré. Andre Doré to Federko to the right side. Brought wide by Reeds. Ryan Sutter centered. Melanson got a piece of that, and there's Bourne ahead to Brent Sutter. He was bumped off the puck by Reeds. Bourne picks it up. Forces the Blues deep into their own zone, and here's Brownscheitel. Up the left wing, Federko has cleared it to center ice. Boudelier hustles after it. Boudelier to Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter hit hard by his older brother, Brian. They shove at one another, and then Brian is knocked down by Brent. Well, we saw it last year as Dwayne and Brian had a tussle. Now Wilson gets it to the Islanders' zone, but Morrow is back. Knocked it away from Turnbull, out over the line, brought in by Lemieux, but it's offside. 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the period.
Brian Sutter, captain of St. Louis, as I mention again, started this whole thing rolling for his team when he run over his brother, Dwayne Sutter. He's finishing the period now with just a little over 2 minutes to go by giving it to his other younger brother, Brent.
All in the family. We watched 3 of the hockey-playing 6 Sutter brothers in action tonight. Ryan, as Eddie pointed out, the captain of the Blues, has 40 goals on the year. It was questionable whether he would play tonight after an injury here Saturday, but you know the Sutters. Longevin off the left point, winds up, lets one go. Heinz down to make the save. Gilbert after the rebound, played it back of the net. Billy Carroll chasing it for the Islanders. Carroll to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter comes out in front, went for the backhand and couldn't pull the trigger as the puck slipped off his stick. He and Babbage tie up to one another. Gilbert has knocked it loose, back of the net. There's Ramage for St. Louis. Up the left side to Perry Turnbull. Turnbull at center ice across the Islander line was checked. Dwayne Sutter feeds it up left wing. Billy Carroll chases it into the St. Louis zone. Doré stepped in front of him and will get an icing call against the Islanders. A minute 34 left in the second period. For a preview of the upcoming intermission, we go to Ed Westfall.
At the end of the second period, we're going to talk to Billy Carroll. We're going to find out what it's like to not score a goal so far in the National Hockey League and what the players' feelings are now that the trade deadline has gone by.
Well, that's upcoming from the Checker Dome in St. Louis. We're a minute and 34 seconds away from the end of the second period, and the Blues are leading 3-0.
Jiggs, we haven't seen Guy Lapointe, the veteran defenseman. He suffered a sprained shoulder and will not be back for the balance of the game.
Right at the moment, the Blues are not missing him. Brownscheitel's backhand shot hit Patey. Ryan Trache with it for the Islanders. Over to Paul Boudelier. Trying to work it off the boards and hit the referee instead. Trache stepped in front of Patey, and Boudelier has dumped it to center ice. Doré checked there by Janssen. Janssen comes over the line with Kaller. Janssen grabbed by Crombie, got a shot away, and Heinz a stick save. Anderson fails to clear it out. Here's Janssen, but it was knocked off his stick, and Boudelier recovers at center. Waited for his teammates before shooting it into the St. Louis zone. Blues move it up quickly, but out of the reach of Anderson, and Morrow comes back with less than a minute to play in the period. Paul Boudelier across to Kaller. Kaller in the St. Louis zone. Cuts to the left side, trying to get around Doré. Turns. Turns a second time. Keller with a shot. Hines the save, and he holds on to it. He was knocked over after he made the save. A collision at the side of the net ended up getting the goaltender as well, and down he went. Johnson and Crombie had collided, and Trottier is right in the thick of things as well.
Let's take a look at the action. Anders Keller, who had a good chance earlier in the period, shot and missed. There's his shot right on. Hines grabs a hold of the puck. Then the momentum of two players, an Islander and a St. Louis Blues, run into him. There's the play by Keller at the net. Hines made the catch. Accidentally, he's bowled over, but he hung on to the puck. Be a pleasant surprise if he could continue this play, not only for the game, but also for St. Louis as they race for the playoffs.
Now back to the hockey game after that quick scene from the Soaps. 43 seconds remaining in the period. The Islanders down 3-0. And another new face in the National Hockey League, although he's had a couple of cups of coffee, as they say. Rick Hines has shut them out to this point. You think of Bob Froese in Philadelphia shutting them out twice. Here's Bossy moving in over to Gillies. He shoots. Hines got a piece of it. The rebound, and it ends up in the stick of Pettersson. Up the right side and out into center ice comes Pettersson across the line. That shot went wide. Ersan back for the Islanders. Left it for Potvin with 20 seconds left in the period. Breaking past the Bossy. Dealt it off to Gillies on left wing. Mark Gillies a shot into the chest protector, and Hines holds on. More than 30 shots now for the Islanders, but nothing has beaten Rick Hines.
Quick shot. Gillies off the left wing side. Lets it go. It's up high. You see Hines go up and take it off his chest protector. The puck is loose only momentarily as he pulls it down. Mark Gillies again using Ramage as a screen. Got the shot too high. If he's going to score, he's got to keep the puck down low. Make Hines stop it. Give a rebound if nothing else.
5 times this season the Islanders have been shut out. 3 of those shutouts belong to rookies. Mentioned Bob Froese twice. The other one would be Corrado Mikolev of the Detroit Red Wings. Eddie Meal and Gilles Malache have registered the other shutouts of the Stanley Cup champions. Tonelli got the draw to Potvin. Back to Persson. His shot through a screen was blocked and ricochets up into the crowd. 9 seconds remaining in the period.
It'll take sacrifices by St. Louis to beat the Islanders. They are so far 3-0. They're also sacrificing. Mike Krobmean that time gets down in front of a shot from Stefan Persson.
Toronto has battled back in Montreal. 3-2 Canadiens late in the third period. Now Tonelli on the draw, and he won it, but all the way back into the Islanders' zone. Persson hustles after it. Anderson in quickly. Persson fed it to Gillies, and that'll do it for the period. There's the horn, ending period number 2. And the Blues have added to their first period lead. They were up 2-0 at that point. A power play goal here in the second period. Midway through the period, as a matter of fact, and the St. Louis Blues have the Islanders down 3-0 as you watch them head to the dressing room. Still 20 minutes to play here in St. Louis, where the Islanders have not lost since November 2nd of 1979. 5 straight victories in this building, but they have 20 minutes remaining in which to pull this one out. Our score at the end of 2, the Blues 3, the Islanders nothing. We'll return to the Checker Dome in St. Louis after these messages.
Protect everything but your ego, because they know how it hurts. They'll go for it again.
The best never comes easy. That's why there's nothing else like it. Budweiser Light.
Bring out your best. You gotta reach deep inside. Bring out your best. Budweiser Light. Bring out your best. Budweiser Light.
The best. You found it in yourself, and now you've found it in the beer you drink.
Introducing the brawny new Nissan 4x4 at your Datsun dealer.
One heck of a truck.
Nissan has on-demand four-wheel drive and wraps the bed in double steel walls. Here's wide clearance independent front suspension and the most powerful standard engine in its class.
Nissan!
Save with 9.9% truck financing at Datsun dealers. Ends March 31st.
Immaculate. Spotless. Clean as a whistle. But let's move closer. 7,000 times closer into the carburetor where we see dirt. Dirt like this could impede your car's performance. Fortunately, you can wash dirt away before it accumulates with mobile detergent gasoline. It treats dirt like dirt.
After 2 periods, our score, the St. Louis Blues 3, the New York Islanders nothing. Look at the shots on goal in the second period. By the Islanders, 18, a 2-period total of 31. By St. Louis, 10 for a 2-period total of 16. Yet the Blues lead it. They got their third goal with a 2-man advantage. Boudelier and Melanson had been penalized when Pettersson scored his 27th of the year from Ramage and Dunlop. That goal at the 10:24 mark. And the Blues looking like world beaters here tonight. They've had Lady Luck smile in their goaltender, and around the Islander net a couple of breaks for that 3-0 lead. They are full value for it, really.
They have, Jigs, and of course for the Islanders you have to look at them and say, if they think they're working hard now, which I think they are, they're making a lot of mistakes, but they're working hard. They've got 18 shots in the second period. They can't get it by the young goaltender. Well, he's not that young, he's 27, but he seems young and experienced. But if they think that that's working hard and they're getting nothing, if they let up, they'll only get less. So the Islanders have to really buckle down in the dressing room. Their experience now has to come through if they're going to win the hockey game. To get 4 goals in a period is almost unheard of, particularly when you're up against what's happening to them so far in the first 2. St. Louis, along with the goaltending of Heinz, have had some pretty good breaks, too, with loose pucks around the net. Brian Trottier in that one opportunity when he could have easily made it 2-1, it would have changed the whole complex of the game. With an open net a couple of times, the Islanders haven't been able to get it in.
Well, you're going to be talking with a young man who hasn't scored this year. Maybe he can get things going for the Islanders in the third period. But at the end of 2, our score at the Checker Dome, the St. Louis Blues leading the Islanders 3-0. We'll return to the Checker Dome right after these messages.
Yes, my company's operating balances don't earn a dime. What can the Bank of New York do for me?
Manage your money so it makes you money with new Check Invest.
I can't tie up operating funds.
No problem. Check Invest links a regular business checking account to a money market fund.
So I earn money market interest?
Automatically every day.
My bank doesn't have anything like Check Invest.
Does yours? Check Invest, the first business checking plan that manages your money so it makes you money. Only at the Bank of New York.
The airline that doesn't plan for the future may not have one. 5 years ago, Eastern saw the future in a remarkable aircraft. Now it's here. The new Boeing 757, the most advanced, most fuel-efficient commercial jet ever built. It's going to help Eastern hold down the cost of flying for years to come.
We earn our wings for you, that's why we're Eastern, America's favorite way of life.
You in a bad mood?
I just hate talking in the morning.
I'll let you shave.
No, stay.
You use Noxzema.
Yeah, Noxzema gives me a great shave. It does something to condition my skin.
It softens it.
Huh?
I can tell when you kiss me. Your face feels real smooth.
Well, I guess it's the moisturizers.
I hate talking in the morning, too.
Noxzema medicated shave cream. Share the softness.
With 20 minutes remaining in St. Louis, the Blues lead the Islanders 3-0. Well, Billy Carroll hasn't put the puck in the net all season. It's been a long one for him. Ed Westfall with his visit now.
Thank you, Jigs. My guest between periods, the master at putting the puck on the posts, the pads, Billy Carroll. Billy, doesn't seem to bother you with the way you play that you haven't scored a goal. Does it inside?
Oh yeah, it really, it bothers you, but it's not something I'm going to let get me down and be in a miserable mood away from the ice. I'm in a bad enough mood while I'm here. I might as well go home happy.
But that's not really your role. But I know that the thinking isn't always that way. A goaltender'd love to score a goal.
Yeah, no, they haven't. Management hasn't given me a hard time yet, or asking for goals yet, but it still would be nice to get a couple and chip in that way.
You have to be pleased, though. You're playing a lot. You're getting a lot more ice time and being effective. You're getting the opportunities.
Yeah, you know, this is a really funny year. I've had a lot of chances, more so, I think, than any year since I've been here. And it's just a matter of nothing going in the net.
How much do you change then? For instance, we watched a couple of times you come out in the warm-up and hit a goal post. Do you think about that?
No, I really don't think about it too much in warm-up. You know, the guys, they don't let you forget it, and I try not to think about it at all.
You've been killing penalties on a regular basis, as well as taking a pretty regular shift. That must send messages to you, because I know athletes are always looking for signs.
Yeah, it's right now we have extra players, and I think everybody's sort of just trying to stay in the lineup, and no matter where they play, whether it's left wing, right wing, or killing penalties, I think the main thing is as long as you're dressed right now, and hopefully I can stay dressed.
How about the mood now? You've been to the dressing room, and obviously you're into a hockey game at this point with the interview. How about the mood in the dressing room now that the trade deadline is over and the Islanders stood pat?
Well, everybody's really happy. Nobody wanted to leave the Islanders, and everybody's a lot looser. Hopefully now we'll start playing the way we can and forget everything that's happened to this point and start from here.
Billy, a lot of times people, maybe underneath it all, would be relieved if they were traded in some ways. Obviously, no one wants to leave a defending Stanley Cup champion, but are the players hoping to either get the deadline over with or get a trade made just to get, you know, some relief so they can get on?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think maybe a lot of guys, if they do want to get traded, I think this is the wrong time of year to get traded. You've spent 70 games here, and playoffs are coming around, and you have a good chance of winning it. You might as well stay the rest of the year and worry about your trades in the off-season or whatever. But I can't say anybody's disappointed that they're still here.
And the money's not bad for finishing, not so much for finishing, but the playoff chances.
Yeah, that's it. You might as well give that a good chance, and this is the best place to do it.
What do you see for Billy Carroll now coming down? You got the playoff stretch, playoffs. How about your career? What do you think about when you have a moment?
Well, I've given that a lot of thought this year, and I've talked to management about it, and that's something that we're going to have to worry about later. And hopefully right now I'll just forget all that and try and win another Stanley Cup.
Do you have a preference, Billy? Have you developed one as far as who you like to play with, who you feel comfortable with when you're out on the ice?
Well, you know, Butch and I have played together now for a couple of years, and we're more or less comfortable when we kill penalties together. But as far as the regular line goes, I really haven't felt comfortable anywhere yet, and hopefully it'll fit in with the line somewhere along the line.
I want to know what the guys are saying to you now at this point in the season about your goal production.
I don't think I have to tell you.
No, I want to hear. Our fans would love to hear.
Well, you know, they...
Do they think now they'll give you the business about they'll be disappointed if you do get one?
No, one of them gave me a puck in practice the other day for the first, but other than that, no, they come up with all the lines, and it's something new every day, and it's just a matter of having a lot of fun with it right now. I even have a lot of fun with it, so it doesn't really bother me.
Let me get back just a minute, Billy, to the aspect of trades. Do the players, or have the players prior to today, either started some of their own rumors or made up what they think might happen?
No, it seems to be a lot of the time, it seemed to be the same names popping up in different trades. And
what were some of them, just by chance?
Well, no, like we came in here today and they had Dennis and Stefan and Anders Keller going to Pittsburgh, and those three guys were a little worried. And then you read another paper and it would be a couple of different guys, but we try not to go on that. I remember Dwayne and Brent Sutter got their names into a rumor, and that was all started from guys just fooling around and having a good time with it, and it got into all the newspapers.
Did you start the rumor?
No, it wasn't me.
I am told that you're the kind of guy that would do that.
No, not to those two.
Billy Carroll, I hope that by the time this is aired that you'll have had your first goal, and if it doesn't, I hope it comes in the third period or sometime soon, just to make you feel better and all of us.
Oh, thank you very much, Eddie.
Thanks for coming by.
Okay.
Now back up to you, Jakes.
Tonight's guest will receive the original members-only strap collar racing jacket. It's today's most exciting, most wanted jacket. Members only. When you put it on, something happens at fine stores everywhere. Well, Billy Carroll has not scored to this point, and the Blues lead the Islanders 3-0 after 2 periods. We'll return to the Checker Dome following these messages.
Sounds good, doesn't it? Actually, it's a faulty and dangerous exhaust system. To be on the safe side, you should have yours checked regularly. I'm your local man from Meineke, and we'll inspect your exhaust system free of charge. And if there's anything wrong, we'll give you a mufflegram, a free written estimate. We'll never sell you more than you need, and we won't start without your approval. And at Meineke, you'll love the price.
Strong from $18.93 to $26.95. Visit your local independently owned Meineke shop today.
N-I-S-S-A-N, one heck of a hunk of a truck.
Introducing Nissan, the all-new trucks at your Datsun dealer.
One heck of a truck.
Nissan wraps the bed in double steel walls and seats 1, 2, 3.
One hunk of a truck.
Nissan with the biggest payload and the most powerful standard engine in its class.
Nissan.
Save with 9.9% truck financing at Datsun dealers. Ends March 31st.
Sir, why do you play New York City OTB?
I like winning.
Oh, your horse won today.
Nope, came in second.
Oh, so you lost.
No, I won.
You can win if your horse comes in second?
Yep, but I picked it for third.
You said it came in second.
It did.
Yeah, but you said you won.
I did.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The horse doesn't win.
Yeah.
It comes in second. You pick it for third, and you still win?
Yep.
Sounds like there are a lot of ways to win at OTB.
That's why I play OTB. Taxi!
OTB people, the winningest people in town.
Today, there's a brand new overnight letter, specially designed to meet your most urgent needs. The Emery Urgent Letter. Now you can send 4 ounces up to 20 pages in a full-sized envelope. And the price, desk to desk, to most of America, is just $11. The more important papers you send, the more you need the Emery Urgent Letter. Meeting America's most urgent overnight needs. Try it.
The only goal in the second period came while the Islanders were 2 men short. Power play goal by Pettersson. Nice play, really set up by Ramage 18. He faked everybody out except his teammates, and
no question, Jiggs. The Islanders, though we talked about it, had lots of opportunities. And before we show you the goal, let's take a look at an opportunity by the Islanders. Look at the hustle of Brent Sutter as he corrals the puck. Ramage behind him without his stick takes a poke at him. Brent Sutter. Look at Bourne as he swoops in. Heinz knocked the puck away. The rebound to Brent Sutter. It went underneath Heinz. Bob Nystrom loosened the puck up. Now watch where the puck comes out. There it is. Look at that save. You think defensemen don't help goaltenders? Fine move by the defenseman, Vigneault. And here's the goal. There's Ramage. What a pretty pass right there. Bang, it's in that quickly. And Pettersson, his 27th goal of the season from Ramage and Dunlop at 10:24. Islanders, 2 men short at the time, made the score 3-0. Let's look again. There's Pettersson behind the net and to the left of Roland Melanson as he passes the puck across to Dunlop, to Ramage, back to Pettersson, and that quickly, it's in the net, 3-0. At 10:24, 18 shots for the Islanders and no goals in the second period. As you look at Rick Heinz getting ready for the third period. He seems to have a lot of trouble with his equipment. About 4 times in this hockey game during the periods, he's had the gloves off and been trying to adjust some part of his equipment. He's hopped up and popped up. And while he's getting ready, I have time to tell you that this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the New York Islanders. And it's intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Islanders is prohibited.
As you pointed out at the end of the second period, the Islanders have worked hard, 31 shots on goal. You kind of get the feeling watching the game that an Islander goal could open the floodgates.
Oh, yes, and the thing here you have to watch right from the beginning of the period, Jiggs, is to see the reaction of St. Louis. Now, they're going to talk about in the dressing room about playing the Islanders in their end of the ice. Let's keep the puck moving in the direction of the Islanders' net, because we know and we respect the fact that the Islanders can score goals, and we can't expect the Rick Heinz, the 27-year-old goaltender, to stop another 18 shots. We've got to limit the shots, none if we can, but let's play the Islanders in their end of the ice. For the Islanders, they've got to make the gambles, but as I had pointed out in the second period, you can't make them in your end of the ice. You've got to make them going into St. Louis's.
Thomas Janssen is on the left side. Trottier at center ice. Kaller on the right wing for the Islanders. Potvin and Morrow together on defense. Kaller fed it just out of the reach of Janssen. And the Blues dump it out of their own zone. Here's Potvin with it at center ice. Denny Potvin pulled it away from Patey and then backhanded it wide of the St. Louis net. Ramage around to the right side. Johnson got a stick on it, comes out in front of the net. Johnson turns. The shot hit Trottier. Came bouncing out in front, and there's Patey. Patey into center ice. Fires a long shot wide of Roland Melanson. Potvin picks it up. Failed to clear it out. Larry Patey for the Blues. Backhanded it wide. Comes right out in front again. And Potvin knocked it away from Crombie to Kaller. Kaller fed it to Trottier as he crossed center ice. Back to Kaller. Pass was out of the reach of Trottier. And Brownscheitel moves into center ice for St. Louis. Got a hit from Trottier, and the Islanders, in the middle of the player change, have sent Morrow back for the puck. Eddie Morrow. The Trottier, Gillies and Bossy are on the wings. Trottier shot it in right on target. Now he is replaced by Tonelli. Here's Brownscheitel. His pass cut off by Bossy, picked up by Tonelli. Over to Gillies. Gillies a shot. That went high and wide. Bonjamin moved in off the point, but Reeds was there to knock it away from him, and Persson takes over at the center ice strike. Back to Gillies, to Bossy. Bossy comes over the line, shot it in around Brownscheitel, but Dory was back. Andre Dory has cleared it to center ice. A break for St. Louis as Sutter picked it up. Gave it to Fedorko. To Sutter, and it hit Persson. Came loose in front. Melanson makes a save off Reeds and holds on.
St. Louis quickly down the ice. Islanders are gambling. You can tell that because St. Louis, a 3-on-2 break. Fedorko, his backhand pass broken up. Melanson ends up with the puck. When you gamble in the other team's end of the ice, you have to give up 3-on-2s. That's part of the gamble. That's the chances you take when you're down 3-0 with 18 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the third period.
Now from the face-off, the puck going wide. Melanson came out to cut it off, gave it to Gillies. Gillies over to Persson. Stefan Persson to Tonelli. Shot it in to the St. Louis zone. Hines the save. Got it to Brian Sutter to the blue line. Persson for the Islanders. Worked it to the corner. And there is Ramage around to the right side. Reeds clears it to center all the way down into the Islanders zone. And Persson will go back to touch up for an icing call. Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs came back to get a 3-3 tie in Montreal. That is not good news for St. Louis, although they lead the Islanders 3-0. Toronto at this moment is within 2 points of the Blues. Detroit is idle, one of 3 teams not playing tonight.
Of course, the other thing, Jags, that you have to remember is that Toronto has 3 less games that they've played, 3 less than St. Louis. Of course, St. Louis, bottom line, they win their own games. They don't have to worry about it. But Toronto has been on a tear now since Nyland, the young defenseman, their first-round pick, returned to the lineup. He seems to have that kind of an influence on Toronto.
He hasn't built up the scoring stats, but he has certainly got the team going. Brent Sutter tried to move in, but couldn't get around Vigneault. And now Babbage comes down right wing. A long shot. Pad save by Melanson as he was rushed. Comes right out in front. They scored! Tapped in between the legs of Melanson as Perry Turnbull has given the Blues a 4-0 lead. A big birthday present a day early for number 9.
His 25th goal of the season. Roland Melanson made the save. Here's the shot by Wayne Babbage. It's right on. Melanson easily made the save, but look where he left the rebound. Ken Morrow tried to clear it, and he hit Perry Turnbull. Turnbull from a tough angle with Morrow trying to check him. Jammed it off the skate of Roland Melanson, and it's now 4-0 for St. Louis. Tough break for the Islanders, but not clear the puck, and Turnbull gets his 25th of the season.
Cisco to Babbage and Wilson at the 2:20 mark. So it's 4-0 as we watch Babbage come out of the St. Louis end of the ice. Shot it wide of Melanson. Paul Boudelier has cleared it away from board, and Dory hustles back. Let it go to Brownscheitel to this right side off Babbage. Babbage checked at the St. Louis line. Brent Sutter into the corner for Dwayne. Dwayne Sutter centered. That hit Brownscheitel and bounced away from Gilbert. Gilbert got a piece of Turnbull. Perry Turnbull checked now by Gilbert to Brent Sutter. Trying to come out in front. Was knocked off his stick. Back to Dwayne Sutter and a shot. Oh, and the goaltender Hines just got a piece of it. Babbage covers up by shooting it down into the Islanders zone. Just over the goal line. Icing against St. Louis. The fans disagree. Dwayne Sutter nonchalanted it a little. A break in the action. 16:37 left in the game, and the score is the Blues 4, the Islanders nothing.
2 ways to get a home improvement loan. The hard way and the smart way. The same for an auto loan. The hard way and the smart way. At the Bank of New York, we call the Smart Way Action Phone, and it means you can apply for any loan without leaving home. So if you're eyeing a new car or a new roof, dial 1-800-942-1784. Action Phone from the Bank of New York. What a smart way to get a loan.
Play underway in the St. Louis zone. Nystrom picked up a loose puck, couldn't get away from Dory. Now Billy Carroll's effort to get it to Potvin was broken up by Pettersson. Jorgen Pettersson put it onto the stick of Langevin. Dunlop unable to get back inside the Islander zone. Langevin feeds it off to Potvin. The Islander captain up the right side for Nystrom comes over the line, but Brownshot will reach back to knock it away from him. Potvin has dumped it in on an offside, being delayed here. Crawford for St. Louis into center ice. Tries a long shot. That was deflected high and over the net. And the back of the goal. Crawford steals it, comes out in front, and Billy Carroll came back to knock it away from him. Potvin for the Islanders. Around to Langevin. Langevin trying to play it to the right wing. Off the boards into the St. Louis zone. Across the goal line and is called for icing. One humorous note surrounding the Islanders and the trading deadline. I must tell this story. There was a stranger out on the ice this morning in an Islander sweatsuit, skating, doing all the exercises, the shooting drills. A well-known New York City reporter, and I won't identify him or the paper, strolled in, took a look. The eyes began to bulge a little. It was almost like he had missed a scoop.
And he didn't get traded.
The player was here skating. He turned to me and said, "Who's that?" I said, "It's Blaine Stoughton." "No." "Yeah, no." And he looked down to the glass, looked several times. Turned out to be Bruce Affleck. He played for the Indianapolis club a year ago, went to Sweden, is back here in St. Louis, and skated with the Islanders today, but he caused a bit of a stir.
I thought maybe you were going to say it was somebody like Dougie Gould.
Who was on the ice? Oh, not that early in the morning, 18.
Oh, I see.
Can you imagine another trade deadline goes by and Doug Gould still keeps his job? I'm just kidding. Bruce Affleck caused a little stir here. He may end up playing with Indianapolis for the balance of the season, I understand. Fred Creighton is here, by the way, along with 4 of his Indianapolis Checkers. They continue to lead the Central Hockey League. Only 2 points between they and the second-place team as Trottier and Morrow have converged to freeze the puck deep in the Islanders zone. We still have 15 minutes and 13 seconds left in this game.
St. Louis loves to play in the Islanders' end of the ice. They love to freeze the puck and have all the face-offs down on either side of Roland Melanson. That's not the game plan for the Islanders. First period, 13 shots. They had 18 shots in the second period. They've had 1 so far here in the third.
Blues out shooting them 3-1. Trottier on this face-off against Patey. Ends up back of the Islander goal, and Morrow around to the left side now to Janssen, ahead to Trottier. DeCaller on right wing, comes over the line, working on Ramage, put on the brakes, but lost the puck. Patey will pick it up. Harry Patey hit hard by Trottier. A pile up back of the net. The puck loose as they go body against body, and Trottier gets away with it. Trottier to Janssen. He's shooting, blocked by Heinz, who dives on top of the loose puck and holds it.
You watch for the little signs of frustration. Brian Trottier trying to lead his team into a more intense third period. He went after Patey behind the net. There's Thomas Janssen's shot up high. Heinz made the save. Janssen there. Trottier right in behind him as they look for a loose puck or try to jar it away from Rick Heinz. Right now, he must look like a Mack truck to some of the Islanders standing in that net, Jake. The puck just does not want to get away from him or in behind him.
They've been close, but no cigar. Now Dory comes from back of the net, up the right side. Federico at center, shot it in, offside as it went off Ryan Sutter's stick. So the face-off in the center ice zone. Ryan Sutter was hit on the back of the neck. The puck striking him Saturday night here in St. Louis, the game against Montreal. He was carried from the ice, hospitalized. They felt that he wouldn't play until at least the weekend, but he has not missed a game. I don't think he's missed a shift tonight either.
A transient concussion to the spinal cord is what he is suffering from. Obviously, he's not 100%, but he's playing like he is.
Now Gillies on this left side. Over to Persson, to John Tonelli. Tonelli across the line, dumped it into the corner. That's Bossy, and after Bossy put it out in front. And the puck ends up in center ice for Persson. Persson to Bossy. Knocked off his stick. Reeds managed to get it to Dory. Came over the line. Langevin lined him up for a hit. Reeds with the puck. Across to Fedorko to Sutter, and his drive off the shoulder of Melanson. Here's Reed centering the puck. Sutter a drive. That hit Persson. Langevin for the Islanders up the left side to Gillies. Gillies flips it down into the St. Louis zone. A race for it. Brownscheitel will get there ahead of Bossy. And icing is called against the Islanders. 13:49 left in the final period. There's a break in the action. The score, Blues 4, Islanders nothing.
Of the best-selling motor oils today, 14 now save gas. But only one saves gas. Offers cold weather starting down to 35 degrees below zero. And the best engine protection under extreme heat. In fact, the best engine protection you can give your car. Only one. Mobile One.
Pretty good third period so far for the St. Louis Blues. While there's still 13 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in it, they've controlled the game pretty good.
Now Potvin for the Islanders has fed it off to Morrow on the right side. Comes over the line with a shot. Heinz the save. Dropped it into the top of his pads and has been able to smother it.
Ken Morrow's quick wrist shot catches in Heinz pads in the top of his left pad. Here's the shot by Ken Morrow. There's the stop. Heinz loses sight of it. He knows it's around his leg somewhere. You see him put his glove behind, locks his legs together. He does not want to make a move toward the goal line because the puck might pop out and go across it.
Brent Sutter ready to take the face-off. Wayne Sutter on the right, Bourne on the left. Wayne Sutter came in to pick it up, lost it. Recovers, got it to Bob Bourne, went to the backhand to Brent Sutter, and Heinz dove in front of it. Bourne unable to center as Ramage cut it off and has shot it down into the Islanders zone. Melanson out of the net, lets it go. Potvin gets back first, and that'll be icing against St. Louis.
Close call. Heinz does it again. What a night he's having. Probably the best one of his career. His career hasn't been that long. Wayne Sutter to Bourne. Now watch Heinz right here as Bourne tries to pass it to Brent Sutter. Out goes Heinz. Right arm with the stick in it. Breaks up the play. Ramage is also there to help. Ramage is diving out. There's the play by Bourne. It's Ramage that actually got his stick on it. Heinz was in behind to back him up. St. Louis spoil another good attempt by the Islanders.
Heinz 0-2-1. No wins, 2 losses, 1 tie, a 5.32 goals against average. And he has blanked the New York Islanders on 35 shots to this stage. Persson moves in off the right side to Dwayne Sutter. A shot blocked in front, picked up by Bourne. Back to Langevin, into Bourne. Bourne trying to slip the check of Dory. The puck came loose, and Turnbull takes control for the Blues. Harry Turnbull out to Babbage. A hand off the stick of Lemieux. He recovered around Langevin, and his shot was deflected by Persson. Here's Langevin for the Islanders to Bourne. Bourne over to Persson. Stefan Persson ahead to Brent Sutter. Dory broke up the pass. His long shot was wide of the net. Bounces out in front of Melanson. Fades it off to Langevin. Dave Langevin trying to outskate Lemieux. Comes into center ice. Across the St. Louis line. Shot it in and took a hit from Crawford. Brownscheitel back of the net. To the right side for Crawford. He gave it to Lemieux, and the Blues beat it quickly to Pettersson. He moves in, shoots, he scores!
Not an Islander on his feet. Some of them would have argued, Bob Bourne is, that it was possibly offside, unless he's got something going with one of the St. Louis Blues. Rick Wilson. Wayne Sutter is upset. Let's take a look as we watch Lemieux. A nice little slip pass. Pettersson goes in, goes quickly to his left, and beats Roland Melanson for his second goal of the game. Let's look again, this nice little slip pass. Lemieux. Pettersson could have been offside. I wouldn't argue the point, Jiggs, but it was very close at the blue line, but not close there as he gets his second goal of the game, his second goal of the period, his 28th goal of the season, and it's 5-0, St. Louis over the Islanders.
And then the sticks came up. Bob Bourne appeared to attract the attention of referee Hogarth. Wayne Sutter had a lot to say, but in the meantime, it is 5-0 St. Louis. Lemieux and Crawford get assists on that goal by Pettersson at 7:38. No penalties. Teams at 6 aside. Carroll between Nystrom and Gilbert. Baudelaire and Morrow on defense. It was borderline. Close call as far as offside, but no whistle. Billy Carroll has shot it wide of the St. Louis net. Held in by Gilbert. Gilbert slips a check back of the net to Nystrom, and the pass out of his reach. Bobby Nystrom into the corner for Carroll. Up to Nystrom on the backhand. He couldn't handle the puck, and the Blues have forced the Islanders into center ice. Morrow off the boards. He hit one of the Blues, came over the line on a delay, and now Billy Carroll brings it to center ice. Across the St. Louis line, Carroll is knocked down. His glove ended up in the crowd, and the puck is controlled by Crawford. Andy Crawford to the left side. Morgan Pettersson, who is just back in the lineup tonight after missing 6 games, and has pumped home 2 for the Blues. Here he is again into the Islanders' zone. Billy Carroll rode him into the boards. Baudelaire controls the puck. All Baudelaire turning. There's a delayed penalty in effect against St. Louis. Melanson gets to the Islander bench. Carroll played it across to Morrow, now to Nystrom. Nystrom shot it into the St. Louis zone. Morrow going in after it. He's beaten to the puck, and there will be a penalty against the St. Louis Blues, a tripping call. A break in the action with 11:17 left in the hockey game, and the score, St. Louis 5, Islanders nothing.
Now, only Chrysler Plymouth gives you 3 ways to save. 1, the only 10.9 financing on many new 83 American-built front-wheel drive cars. 2, 10.9 financing on many new 82s and $300 to $600 back. 3, every new American-built Chrysler and Plymouth comes with 5-year, 50,000-mile protection. 3 ways to save, only at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer. See him today. Get 10.9 financing on new 82s and 83s.
Tripping penalty to Blake Dunlop. Let's take a look. Watch over on the right side of your screen, right by the Islanders bench. Right there. Greg Gilbert goes down. Dunlop got the penalty. It was a delayed penalty. It was called down in St. Louis's end of the ice. Not the penalty, but the puck ruled dead.
And the Islanders work on the power play for the 4th time tonight. They're out shooting St. Louis 35-22, but trail 5-0. Coffin up to Gillies, to Trottier. Trottier sends Pearson in on the right side, trying to come around Brownstrattle. Can't do it. Pearson knocked down, cleared the puck, but Patey was there. Keller knocked it away from him. And now it's deflected into the crowd off Brownstrattle, and there will be a face-off in the Blues zone. They're going to bring it outside the line.
Went off an Islander player, Jake, deflected. 5-0, St. Louis. Reed, Babbage in the first period. Pettersson, the lone goal of the second, made it 3-0. Turnbull and Pettersson again, here in the third, have run it up to 5-0.
We'll be with you again on Thursday night here on WOR-TV, beginning at 7:30 New York time. The Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Islanders lost both games in the playoffs in Pittsburgh last year, were defeated there on New Year's Day. So Thursday night, 7:30, the Islanders and the Penguins. Stefan Pearson out of his own zone. The Islanders with the man advantage. He got it to Johnson. Back to Pearson. Comes over the line, trying to get in around Dory. Fed it to the blue line to Gillies. Across to Johnson. Johnson centers. Trottier went to take a shot, but the whistle has sounded. Now we've got a penalty call here against the Islanders, obviously.
Clark Gillies is going to get a slashing penalty, nullifying the power play. Dunlop still has 1 minute and 9 seconds on his tripping penalty, and Clark Gillies joins him in the penalty box.
Well, the 51 seconds amounts to a power play. 4 times the Islanders have been shut down with a man advantage. 5-a-side now. Talked to a St. Louis fan on the way up to the broadcast booth tonight who has grown a beard since the last time I saw him, and he said he was going to shave it off if Rick Heinz won this game tonight. I bet he's gone for the lather.
It's a good bet that he's got his razor in his hand.
Still 10:26 remaining. The Islanders trailing 5-0. Pearson to Kaller. Lost it. It's in his skates, and Patey brings it back inside the St. Louis zone. Trottier, Kaller, Pearson, and Langevin for the Islanders, and the Blues have shot it down the ice. Langevin came back to touch it, and the result is an icing call against the Blues.
Roland Melanson betting on his defenseman to be back in time to touch the puck. Dave Langevin gets back in front of Mike Crombie. There he is, number 26, who was racing down the left wing side. Stefan Pearson and Dave Langevin, both Islander defenders, going back quickly. Los Angeles and Calgary are deadlocked at 2 apiece in the first period. Lanny McDonald's got his 57. Beers has scored his 8. Evans and Wells have scored for Los Angeles.
And here, Jorgen Pettersson has 2. Turnbull, Babbage, and Reeds the other goals, and the Blues are leading the Islanders 5-0. The Islanders have been shut out 5 times in 50 games. They're facing a 0 on the board for the 6th time this season. So we watch the Blues. Rob Ramage up the left side to Fedorko. Fedorko over the Islander line, slipped it over to Sutter, back to Fedorko, and his shot went wide as Langevin took him down after the drive. Dave Langevin lugs it out. The pass to Pearson, left side. Brent Sutter is bumped. Gilbert comes over the line, works off the boards. Gilbert being tied up, managed to get the puck loose to Brent Sutter, back to the blue line to Morrow. Kenny Morrow with a shot. Good stop by Hines. A spinning puck. It's bad, Dad. It's on the goal line, and Hines is covered up. It got behind him, but not across the line.
Everybody looking back behind the goaltender, Rick Wilson included. Let's take a look. Ken Morrow walks in, lets the shot go. It stopped. Hines makes the save. There's the loose puck. There's a backhand shot by Sutter. Now look at them looking back towards the goal line, but it didn't make it across. Let's look again from behind Rick Hines. Ramage gets out of the way. Tonelli tried, missed. Hines covered up.
Now back to the live action. It's Rick Wilson around to Ramage. Ramage up to Sutter. 5 seconds left in the penalty against Dunlop. And then the Blues will have a 50-second man advantage, as they do now. Morrow took Billy Carroll. Carroll and Goring with Potvin and Morrow as they came over the line. Babbage came back to pick up the puck after Brown's title and knocked Carroll off his pins. Gorey to the left side. Brown's channel out to center ice. Dumped it in wide of Melanson. Babbage, and after he shoots Melanson the save, and the puck is cleared at the defense. Well, the Blues cover up at center ice. Gorey over to the left side. Here's Turnbull with a shot. Melanson the save. He comes out of the net to clear the puck into the center ice area. And all the way down into the Blues zone as it got away from Lemieux. 14 seconds left in Gillies' penalty time. 8:35 left in the game. Andre Dorey to Brown's title. Out the right side to Babbage to Lemieux. Comes over the line. Alain Lemieux chased by Potvin. Kenny Potvin falling, had the puck beneath him, recovers his balance, played it to the side of the net. Melanson into the corner. There's Babbage. Teams at 6 aside again. Lemieux tries to find somebody out in front. Brings the puck out himself, turns, centers. Turnbull all alone, shooting, he scores!
They are getting them at will. Harry Turnbull, his second goal of the period and of the game. Let's watch the freedom. Turning. Alain Lemieux, look at Turnbull all alone, nobody near him. Morrow seemed to stop, held his ground, tried to make the save. Potvin didn't get to him. Turnbull slammed it into the net. His 26th goal of the season. There he is, all alone in front of the net. He couldn't control the puck. The Islanders gave it right back to him when he lost it, and he put it in, saying, "Thank you very much." It's now 6-0, St. Louis.
Lemieux gets the only assist. So now Turnbull and Pettersson each with 2. And it's 6-0. Bossy to Trottier on the right side. Gilbert came over to take the puck away from Anderson. Gilbert to Trottier. The shot went wide. Ends up in the right corner, and it's cleared off Langevin and down into the Islanders zone. Persson hustling after it. Ahead to Langevin. To Gilbert, stolen by Crombie, but he brought it in offside. We get a break in the action here in St. Louis with 7:43 to play in the game, and the score, Blues 6, Islanders nothing.
Yes, my company's operating balances don't earn a dime. What can the Bank of New York do for me?
Manage your money so it makes you money with new Check Invest.
I can't tie up operating funds.
No problem. Check Invest links a regular business checking account to a money market fund.
So I earn money market interest?
Automatically every day.
My bank doesn't have anything like Check Invest.
Does yours? Check Invest, the first business checking plan that manages your money so it makes you money. Only at the Bank of New York.
Getting ready for a face-off just outside the Islander blue line. This crowd, probably in the neighborhood of 12,000, 13,000, enjoying what they're watching. They saw their Blues come close to a victory over Montreal here Saturday night, only to go down to defeat. And tonight they have a 6-0 lead over the Stanley Cup champions, a team they haven't beaten here since 1979. Persson came over to clear the puck. Crawford held it in. The Islanders sent Persson back for it. Stefan Persson to Langevin. Anderson in to bump him after he made the play to Bossy. Bossy comes over center ice. Got it into the St. Louis territory. Down channel with it around to the far side. It got away from Gillies, and Morrill will recover at center ice. Bossy is replaced by Tonelli as the Islanders change on the fly. They've dumped the puck into the St. Louis zone. Hines played it around to the far side. Hit Caller, and now it's cleared by Dory. Dunlop over center ice. Shot it wide of Roland Melanson. In quickly is Crawford. A drive. Melanson got the catching glove on it. It comes to Gillies on left wing. Art Gillies back to Janssen. Janssen. Gillies moved it up to Kenny Morrill. Morrill sends Tonelli across the line. The pass to Janssen. In deep. Put it out in front off Caller's stick. Blake Dunlop has it for the Blues. Caller came over to knock it away from him. Took it out of the skates of Pettersson. Gave it to John Tonelli. Tonelli is passed to Gillies. Off the mark. Here comes Crawford. Crawford over the Islander line, trying to work in around Janssen. A quick shot. Melanson, the glove save, and he dropped it off for Morrill. Right side to Caller. Anders Caller, rink wide, off the boards to Tonelli, comes over the line. John Tonelli held the puck, gave it to Bob Bourne. Bourne out in front. Tonelli a drive. Hines got a pace of it. Tonelli chases it to the corner, knocked it away from Ramage. Fedorko was there for St. Louis. Got it to Wilson. Rick Wilson around the boards. Tonelli and Ramage still in one another's grasp. Here's Bourne to Caller. Caller playing it back in the net. Tonelli still can't get away from Ramage, and finally the Blues have shot it down the ice. And Tonelli just waves in the direction of the referee. Ramage was all over him, and now Tonelli and Ramage exchange words. Tonelli made a threatening gesture at Ramage that has really drawn the ire of the crowd here. John Tonelli skates back to the bench to a chorus of boos.
Frustrating, Jake, for a player. John Tonelli trying to get loose. He and Ramage were locked together for the longest period to the left of the goaltender. No penalties. A break in the action with the score of the St. Louis Blues 6. The Islanders, no score.
Now, only Chrysler Plymouth gives you 3 ways to save. 1, the only 10.9 financing on many new 83 American-built front-wheel drive cars. 2, 10.9 financing on many new 82s and $300 to $600 back. 3, every new American-built Chrysler and Plymouth comes with 5-year, 50,000-mile protection. 3 ways to save, only at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer. See him today. Get 10.9 financing on new 82s and 83s.
Things have settled down here at the Checker Dome. Markley Flegger was up screaming at the referee about the gesture of Tonelli. Gestured with the stick at Ramage after showing his disgust with the lack of a penalty call against the St. Louis defenseman. A bouncing shot cleared aside by Melanson. Here's Langevin back of the Islander net. Out in front for Brent Sutter. Takes a look, tried to feed it to Nystrom. It went off Brown's channel and back into the St. Louis zone. And the whistle is sounded. We have 5:03 left to play in the game.
Really, it gets to be a point, Jigs. In a hockey game like this, of course, St. Louis, they're loving every minute of it. When it got to the point where they knew that the Islanders just could not get back into the game, a little bit like a fighter who had the other guy on the ropes and just toying with them. How often does St. Louis get a chance to toy with the New York Islanders? That's really what they're doing with them at this point.
Now a penalty call coming against St. Louis. Nystrom's shot went wide of the net. Back to Janssen at the left point. Tipped and wide of the St. Louis goal again. Sutter poking at it. Can't get it away from Morrow, and Fedorko takes control. The play is called. The Islanders will go to the power play as Brian Sutter goes off for tripping at 15:11. The Islanders will try the power play for the 5th time in the game. As I pointed out earlier, the power play has really been sputtering. 2 for 20 coming into this game. That's over the last 7 games.
He's at it again.
He must have got that stuff at a rummage sale.
Looks like an interior decorator, a wallpaper hanger or something there. He's going at it. But when it comes to stopping the puck, he's done the job. He must be having fun. He's enjoying himself along with his teammates out in front of him.
After that 5-5 tie in his only start this year in Edmonton, they say he had a grin on his face for 3 straight days. Can you imagine what he'll be like if he blanks the Islanders here tonight? Dwayne Sutter into the corner to Trottier. Tried to set up Dwayne. It was blocked by Dory. Andre Dory checked by Trottier. Ryan Trottier back of the net. That's Dwayne Sutter. Brownstrattle trying to knock it away from him. Couldn't do it. Dwayne Sutter over to Greg Gilbert. To the point for Persson. Into Gilbert. Back to Persson. Fakes the shot. Gave it to Janssen, who was coming in on the left side to the blue line. That's Persson to Gilbert. Gilbert, who had missed 3 of the last 4 games, handling the puck, gave it to Persson. Let one go, and Dwayne Sutter tipped it wide. Trottier got it to Gilbert. Greg Gilbert around the boards to Trottier. To Gilbert. Gilbert comes out of the corner, trying to make the play. Held the puck, gave it to Persson. Into Gilbert. Gilbert across to Janssen. Janssen fakes it, finds an opening, gave it to Gilbert. He fell as he tried to get it away. There's Trottier. He's knocked down from behind. Play goes on, and up the center ice comes Crombie. Mike Crombie forces the Islanders back, and there's a penalty coming up. Behind the play, the Islanders draw a penalty with 52 seconds remaining in their power play.
Frustration showing in the Islanders. We've seen it now since about the 10-minute mark of the 3rd period. Thomas Janssen thinking that St. Louis should have had a penalty when Trottier went down. Actually, Trottier fell on his own. Let's take a look here in front of the net. There's Heinz's view. Not much. Down goes Crombie. See, Trottier fell all by himself. Everybody thought there should have been a penalty.
Gilbert fell by himself.
Then Gilbert went down, but Trottier got up yelling, and Thomas Janssen, watch him pull the feet out right here. Boom. There wasn't any question about that. Crombie goes down. The arm of the referee goes up. Thomas Janssen goes off. 3:41 remaining in the 3rd period.
So the teams are now 5 aside. 52 seconds left in Brian Sutter's penalty. Bourne will take the face-off against Dunlop. Bourne got the draw to Boudelier. Into the corner for Bourne. Bourne across to Morrow. At center ice, golfed it across the St. Louis line. Tonelli hustling in after it. John Tonelli being booed by the crowd as he touches the puck. It's in Bourne's skates. He's booed as well. The goaltender comes out to move it. Boudelier in off the left point. He's bumped. Here's Tonelli trying to get away from Pettersson. A pile up, and the puck is underneath. Jorgen Pettersson, fans throwing debris out on the ice. The face-off will be in the circle to the right of Rick Heinz. And now they're backing up a little further, but it should be in the St. Louis zone. It appears that they're going to move it outside the line. That's 39-28. The shots on goal favoring the New York Islanders as we look at Barclay Plager at the St. Louis bench.
Islanders want to keep the clock going. They don't want really to stop the play. They'd like to get this thing over with.
20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Brian Sutter. The Blues trying to come out of their own end of the ice. Boutilier's pass hit Bourne, and Fedorko is knocked off the puck. Kennelly and Bourne in forechecking. Bourne lost it. Fedorko muscled into the corner, and his clearing effort ends up in the seats. In 4 seconds, the Blues will have a man advantage. Calgary has just gone ahead of Los Angeles 3-2.
The final now, Montreal, Toronto, 3-3. I think we talked about that earlier.
And in Vancouver, the Canucks have taken the first period lead over the Rangers. They're up 1-0.
Chicago is leading Philadelphia 4-1. That game isn't over yet. At least it is. Is it over, Jake?
Yeah, it's been
must be over by now, yeah.
Gone for a while. So the Flyers have lost 2 in a row as Washington beat them on the weekend. And the Islanders unable to gain any ground. They're down 6-0. Less than 3 minutes to play in St. Louis. Blues with a man advantage now as Reeds comes to center ice over the Islander line. Left it for Brian Sutter. Sutter's pass blocked by Carroll. Blues managed to hold it in. It's spun right back to the stick of Fedorko.
Kind of gives you an idea of the way things have been going for the Islanders.
You talk about the bounce of the puck. Dory with a shot. Good stop by Melanson. Reeds out of the near corner. To the blue line to Dory. Andre Dory across to the far side. Brownscheidel's pass on and off the stick of Reeds. Back to Brownscheidel. He moves in deep to Fedorko. Fedorko had it knocked away from him. Went right to Reeds. Mark Reeds, who opened the scoring. Back to Brownscheidel. A drive from the point. Deflected in front. They bang at it off the pad of Melanson. And Billy Carroll clears it. Not out. Here's Dory with 20 seconds left in the power play. Shoots Melanson the save, and he comes out of the net handling the puck. Played it off Dory outside the line, and Dory recovered in time to knock it away from Billy Carroll. Inside the last 2 minutes of this hockey game. Brownscheidel got it into the Islanders zone. There's Melanson out of the net, tried to clear it off the glass, put it up into the crowd instead. So Melanson with a record of 9-6-3 on the road coming in here tonight. He has been beaten 6 times. And over the last, 20 games, he has given up only 47 goals. In the last 17, his record was 12-3-2. 2.24 goals against average in that stretch. It'll balloon with 6 here tonight.
The shame of all the game like this, Jiggs, is that the Islanders in Billy Smith and Roland Melanson have a fine goals against average and record. Kind of hurts the goaltending average. 6 goals.
Now 1:34 left in the game. Wilson checked in his own zone. Gilbert got the puck to Janssen. Out to Brent Sutter. Chase to the corner. Brent Sutter to Gilbert. Greg Gilbert muscled by Babbage. Gilbert kicked the puck loose. Ramage came over, dumped it back to the goal for Rick Wilson. Wilson hit there by Janssen, and now Turnbull fed it up to Ramage. Ramage out to center ice, right wing to Babbage, comes over the line, a long shot. Melanson the save, big rebound. They tap at it, and it went wide as Lemieux, at the last second, was able to get a stick on the puck. 1 minute to play. And the goaltending of Hines stand up for another 60 seconds. Shot it into the Islanders zone. It's cleared by Boutilier to Gillies. Right side, Brent Sutter. The fans are giving the Blues a standing ovation. Days of old here in St. Louis. Boutilier across to Dwayne Sutter. Can't get it over the line as Turnbull was there. No whistle. Brent Sutter and Ramage bumped together. A pile-up on the boards. The puck came loose. Morrow into the corner to Dwayne Sutter. Dwayne Sutter to Gillies. He's tied up at the side of the net. The puck just went wide with 20 seconds left. The Blues have shot it into center. The Islanders will get back before it goes far enough for icing. Melanson up to Morrow, but the whistle has sounded with, well, they still haven't stopped the clock. Now it has stopped with 10 seconds left. There was about 15 left when this broke out down in the St. Louis zone. The outcome is not in doubt. It's a matter of a shutout for Hines, and this crowd has stayed around, and the frustration really beginning to show on the part of the Islanders here. The fans pelting them with some debris. It comes out of the seats.
Game at this point to see anything break loose. Brent Sutter continues to go after Larry Patey. I didn't know that they had anything working. Hopefully some of the Islanders' cooler heads will prevail, trying to get the hot spots away so they can cool down.
Sutter in his route to the dressing room gave Mr. Hines a little something to think about as he brought the stick up. Not really so much in a threatening gesture, but just close to the net. And the goaltender wasn't really watching him, and he looked up in time to see the lumber come by. Some debris will have to be cleared. We have 10 seconds left. Brent Sutter and Patey going to their respective dressing rooms with penalties. Now Dwayne Sutter leaves the ice as well. So these penalties at 19:50. And the Blues will have defeated the Islanders here in St. Louis for the first time since November 2nd of 1979. First win over the Islanders in their last 9 meetings. The Islanders were 6-0-3 against the Blues in their last 9 games. At home at the Nassau Coliseum, the record, the Islanders 16-0-5 in the last 21 St. Louis visits. And the Blues will come calling twice next season.
There he is, Rick Hines, the hero of tonight's hockey game, Jig. Traded to Vancouver by St. Louis with Tony Curry, Jim Nill, and St. Louis's 4th-round choice, who was Sean Kilroy in the 1982 entry draft. For Glenn Hanlon, that was back in 1982, March the 9th. He was sold back to St. Louis by Vancouver, June the 1st, 1982. Played 3 games with Vancouver. 9 goals against.
Now the penalties. Wayne Sutter, a 10-minute misconduct. Brent Sutter, roughing, and a 10-minute misconduct. Patey, roughing, and a 10-minute misconduct.
What generally happens is that they try to keep the 2 combatants who are verbally abusing each other only from getting together. So the referee, rather than take a chance, tells them to go to the dressing room.
And the puck cleared into the St. Louis zone. The fans count down the final 5. They're down to 3, 1, and there's the horn. Rick Hines does a dance in the goal crease. Congratulated now by the entire St. Louis Blues team. They have defeated the Islanders 6-0. A 4-point lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs, 5 points over the Detroit Red Wings in their bid for the playoffs. The Blues picking up their 56th point of the year, their 21st victory. St. Louis Blues march, and the crowd still giving them a standing ovation as number 31, Rick Hines, waves to the crowd. Doc Plott used to come out and lift both arms high over his head in the salute here, but Rick Hines, a very happy young man, and so he should be, as he has whitewashed the Islanders, stopping all 39 shots. Final score, St. Louis 6, the Islanders nothing. We'll be back with a recap and our Budweiser Star of the Game selection following these messages.